your personal pick that you would like to see the Kings go for at 24.
I was just talking with Jay and Rami about this. I feel like at this point, I don't really have a specific person that I like over anybody else. It's more just a level of experience that I'm looking for. I find myself, especially now, looking for guys who have been more than 1 year in college. Chris Murray.
Sounds like Monty does.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a common trend that Monty McNair has had throughout his drafting history. And I really think that this is a great opportunity for them to take somebody who's a little bit more pro ready right now, not as much of a developmental project that can help the Kings win next season, which is really the goal. And with 3 picks, it feels like they need to nail at least 2 of them. I think would be really beneficial for this Kings team next year.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of fluidity, a lot of movement around the draft. Do we have some breaking news, Kyle?
When it breaks,
we have it first.
It's Sactown Sports breaking news.
According to Shams Charania, Dallas is trading Davis Bertans and Carson Wallace as the number 10 pick to Oklahoma City.
Okay, so OKC, who also has the 12th pick.
Yep.
So Bertans and Wallace, who will be selected here momentarily, will get the Dallas Mavericks hat. But according to that, it looks like Wallace and Bertans going to OKC. So movement is happening also throughout the show. We're going to get everybody caught up in trade yesterday, trade today. Chris Paul going to the Warriors.
My goodness.
And you start to think about that too, about the ramifications for the Kings. Because Chris, I think if you just look at the quick landscape of, without getting too deep into the trades yet, Marcus Smart going to the Grizzlies, already a good team. The Nuggets are the defending champs. Bradley Beal going to Phoenix. Chris Paul going to the Warriors. I'm not saying the Kings have to react to that, but I don't know if they could just be as simple as run it back with a draft pick and think, oh, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fitting. The Kings get good 1 year, and everybody in the Western Conference loses their mind, and all of a sudden wants to create these super teams
for us.
And I know it's like, come on, we gave you guys some time. Now let us shine. It's going to be an interesting night because for that reason, I mean, there's so much movement. The stars, the Warriors getting Chris Paul is definitely interesting. I don't hate it as much as I think I'm from what I'm hearing everybody else around, but you mentioned the Grizzlies as well, getting Marcus Smart. I mean, those are 2 Western Conference teams that the Kings are going to be fighting against that definitely got a different look today, and it'll be interesting to see how both of those moves impact those teams winning next season.
All right, so officially at the draft on the clock is Dallas at 10, but as Kyle just mentioned, the pick will be Carson Wallace. Looks like he's going to be shot to OKC, so expect.
And Oklahoma City is going to trade pick 12 to Dallas. So
they'll flop Wallace and whoever's at 12, but Bertans is the piece.
Yes, Dallas is moving down 2 spots to move off of Bertans' contract.
Gotcha. Okay, so with that, again, I don't know how else you do it, Chris. It's been a pet peeve of mine. I don't know how you switch it. Let's do a Kings example. The Fox draft of 2017, they also picked 10, and they technically drafted Zach Collins. Yeah. Even when they drafted him, they knew there was a trade for 15 and 20, which later became Justin Jackson and Harry Giles. But under the logs, under the definition, the Kings drafted Zach Collins.
Yeah, it's my least favorite thing that the NBA does. It seems like such a simple fix. If we all at home know that a pick Carson Wallace is going to be not a Dallas Maverick, why is he going to put the hat on? We all know already that this isn't going to be the case. It seems like such an easy thing to fix, and it's the weirdest thing because then you look back, whatever. If you look for a Kawhi Leonard draft pick, he's got an Indiana Pacers hat on, and it just ruins what could be a really cool picture as well.
Yeah,
that we can just look back on in history.
Well, let's start at the top. There was no mystery here. Victor Wembanyama goes number 1. I'm not going to say anything different than what the experts are saying. I mean, you hear can't miss, greatest prospect we've ever seen. I see why they say it. I think it's going to be tough to live up the expectations, but going to a traditionally great franchise, a fantastic coach, they're not ready to go, like to be a champion yet, but that's a heck of a starting piece if he lives up to what it looks like he can be.
Yeah. Well, and that's the great thing about Victor is, even if he can't live to the offensive end, he just brings a certain level of defensive skill day one that is going to make him an impactful player.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the draft. Here's Adam Silver.
To announce, as part of a deal to be finalized later,
The Indiana Pacers are trading to the Washington Wizards the draft rights to Bilal Coulibaly, the 7th pick, and the Wizards are trading to the Pacers the draft rights to Jarris Walker, the 8th pick. And with the 10th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cason Wallace from the University of Kentucky.
All right, so Cason Wallace, I think I called him Carson Wallace. Apologies, I wrote that down on Cason Wallace. We mentioned he looks like he will be flipped here quickly to go to the 12th pick, which is OKC and Dallas. So already some teams that are flopping here, and I think that one that was just announced, Coulibaly and Jarris Walker, is interesting because Washington or Indiana basically could have taken who they wanted there, but they were already making a move and trying to get some more players. So Washington has been the most active team. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they look completely different overnight. I mean, they can now get Tyus Jones. They ship out Bradley Beal. We already knew that was going to be the case. They ship off Kristaps Porzingis over to Boston. And yeah, now they're looking like they have Jordan Poole, who they got for Chris Paul, and now have Coulibaly as well to add to Tyus Jones, and now tons and tons of picks in the future as well. So, Washington is, finally hitting that reset button after years of kind of living in purgatory and never really figuring out what side of success they want to be on.
Yeah. Going back to Victor, too, by the way, Victor Wembanyama, we were touching on him going number 1, Spurs, long way to go, but just a generational product, a project. Mentioned to you before the show, I was doing some research on the history of the lottery, and really there's not that many people. It's just the way the NBA works, and I think it's even changing even more now, Chris, but in the history of the draft lottery since 85, Patrick Ewing was the first one taken number 1. There's only 4 number 1 picks all time that have won a championship with the team they were drafted on. And that's surprising to me since the lottery has started. So that's David Robinson and Tim Duncan. So you're looking
Both
at
Spurs
and then LeBron, but he's a little bit of an asterisk because he comes back. And then also Kyrie Irving. What do you see?
Shams just put out, this is almost as shocking as Coulibaly already. Orlando is selecting Jet Howard at number 11, son of Juwan Howard out of Michigan. We were seeing Jet Howard. I mean, literally, if you look at the Ringers most updated mock draft,
he past the Kings?
He was selected by the Kings.
He was the Kings.
At 24. Right. So, I mean, for Jet Howard to jump all the way up to 11, I mean, he was really somebody who this entire draft cycle, you heard really nothing about. We were talking about Jaime Jaquez earlier. There was reports the other day about how Miami is very interested in him at 18. We have heard not a peep about Jet Howard this entire time. I'm shocked to see him go at 11 to Orlando, and now that's Orlando's second pick as well. They took Anthony Black. Yeah. That's right, Anthony Black at number 6.
Yeah, they were 6 and 11. I mean, team that obviously needs some help, but they got some good young pieces. I think if Orlando does things right and correctly over the next couple of years, I think they could turn some things in their favor. Yeah. But that one surprises me.
That one definitely surprises me, and it's Orlando seems to just have a player model that they really like, and they really like those longer, taller guys. And Jet Howard is a 6'8" shooting guard that definitely fits into what Orlando's mold is, which is just crazy length.
I've always said this about any draft, any level. If you like your guy, do it, but you also have to stand with with conviction, and then answer to the critics if you get it wrong. And if there was a reason that you couldn't move back to get the same player, if it wasn't out there, I mean, you got to have a willing partner. But if you pick Jet Howard, be convicted with it and go, that's our guy, and hopefully you're right.
Yeah, and we saw that a couple of years ago with a team like Phoenix, who was kind of everyone was really shocked when they took Cam Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, look at Cam Johnson now, who's entering restricted free agency. That's a player the Kings would love to have, and also that's a great point to make because that's something that the Kings might do at 24 here. I mean, there's guys like Trace Jackson Davis who are mocked to go into the second round, but if you're the Sacramento Kings and you feel like, hey, that's a playmaking big that we can bring in day one and he can be our backup, why not take him at 24? Sure. If you really, really like him as a prospect and believe in him, and maybe some of the other guys you like are no longer on the board, I don't see why not. Why just because consensus is something, if you and your staff believe and have done the research and done the work and still come to the conclusion that you guys are high on him,
do it.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, we are just beginning. Again, we're going till 9 o'clock. We hope to get all 3 Kings picks in. We will, but just if they keep their picks, they're still about 12 or so picks away. We're almost out of the lottery. We'll continue more with our NBA draft coverage special here on Sactown Sports. He's Chris Watkins. I'm Jason Ross. We're back with much more straight ahead here on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown Sports coverage never stops.
It's probably one of the best starting points I could have had, starting in the NBA, Sacramento.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
When I was younger, I may have did some stupid things, even committed some crimes. But I'm not a criminal.
Youth Advocate Programs is a community-based alternative to youth incarceration, congregate placement, and neighborhood violence. Learn how at yapinc.org.
Shop Folsom Lake Kia for all your favorite models at low prices and payments, plus low finance rates and zero down deals with approved credit. Go see my friends at Folsom Lake Kia right here in Sacramento for over 20 years.
Sacramento Kings basketball is back this summer. Catch 6 games of NBA action and fun for the whole family when the California Classic Summer League returns on July 3rd and 5th. The Kings will host the Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Lakers, Miami Heat, and newly added San Antonio Spurs and Charlotte Hornets with the number 1 and number 2 NBA draft picks. 2-day passes start at just $42 and include access to all 6 games. Visit kings.com/California Classic for more information and to buy your tickets today.
The Gold Rush Classic takes place July 13th and 14th in Rancho Murrieta. Come join the fun and play golf with a celebrity, or just check out the concert. The Gold Rush Classic, where the stars and guitars shine. For more info, go to goldrushclassic.org.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
When the world's best players get fitted for new golf clubs, they want to see their ball flight outdoors. And why should you settle for any less? The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is the area's unquestioned leader in delivering a new age of golf club fitting to Northern California. With 14 trained, skilled professionals to show you how to hit the ball farther and straighter, satisfied customers have increased their yardage, improved their games, and gained confidence. Call 916-808-2531 to get started. That's 808-2531 for longer, straighter drives.
Hey, it's Nick Cattle suggesting you celebrate your 4th of July the right way with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Our Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned us into pros. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. Built different, built better, and built to last. All made with premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Just go to Napoleon.com for your nearby Napoleon Grills dealer. Napoleon Grills, now is the time for the best selection of grills and fine accessories. Now is the time to take care of your 4th of July.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
Right now, more than 100,000 children waiting in foster care need our help. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is focused on finding them safe, permanent homes. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
The Orlando Magic select Jet Howard from the University of Michigan.
Well, it is a big day. I mean, obviously, 58 players will have their lives changed today. I mean, it's a special, special day. Some of them will make it. Some of them will be Hall of Famers, stars. Others will be busts or just have a career. Nothing wrong with that either. But the name you just heard there, Jet Howard, went officially number 11 by all reports from Shams. It looks like the 12th pick will be Derek Lively, as we mentioned earlier. That's a flip-flop there, Chris, with with Dallas and OKC. Actually, I like Lively going to Dallas. I think that's a nice pick.
I do too. I mean, that's a really good lob threat for Luka. Stands 7'1" with a 7'7" wingspan. Oh my goodness.
Man.
That is a legitimate lob threat right there for Luka and maybe for Kyrie as well. A guy who during the pre-draft process compared himself to Willie Cauley-Stein. So do with that information what you will.
I mean, you know what's interesting? Obviously, Willie underachieved for where the Kings picked him, but
as a prospect,
like the way he could guard multiple positions, shift defensively. There was some offensive game, rim runner, but it just never developed like to another level that I think he needed to get to.
And I mean, Willie didn't really have a feel for the game either that I think is required, especially, when you're not going to be, having the ball in your hand a ton. You really need to understand spacing and where you need to be on the basketball floor without the ball. And if Derek Lively can just provide some rim protection and a lob threat for Dallas, I think that's exactly what they're looking for. And I think that could be a really, really good pick for Dallas moving forward.
All right, as we continue here with our NBA draft coverage, all brought to you by Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. There was some intrigue. I think this started a shift yesterday, Chris. If we go back to the top of the lottery, mentioned Victor Wembanyama, no surprise, goes number 1. But there was Brandon Miller was kind of locked into Charlotte. Then the word today started going, uh-oh, are they changing? But here's what happened at number 2 earlier today.
2023
Joining us live on
the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller from the University of Alabama.
All right, so that was Michael Jordan's final pick. Some controversy behind there. Not really him. I think a lot of people think he'll be a good prospect, but I was a little bit more on the Scoot Henderson bandwagon, and I hope if they want Brandon Miller, take him. But if they took him because they have LaMelo Ball, I think that's the wrong idea.
Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with that decision-making process if that's how they actually deducted who they were going to select, because I think you should always just take, especially at the number 2 spot when you're that high in the draft, you need to just take the highest upside guy. And if you believe that Brandon Miller is that guy, good on you, and that's why you should take him. But I really don't like it when I hear that fit is really the thing that seems to have given Brandon Miller the overall edge over Scoot, because I just think Scoot is the kind of guy who could be a number 1 on a championship team potentially. I mean, who knows if he'll live up to those expectations, but when you see a profile like the kind of guy that Scoot is, I mean, it's not hard to see how he compares to guys like John Morant, Russell Westbrook, those crazy explosive guys, and that those are really, really tough to find.
The next domino from that then becomes the 3rd pick, which does end up being Scoot Henderson.
Right.
And why I say domino is, does this Portland's got a decision to make. They don't have to make it today, but I mean, I really like Scoot Henderson. I like the potential of Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, Dame Lillard too. I mean, they could run them all if they want to, but that's for a team that hasn't been a playoff team the last couple of years after I think it was 8 straight years. They do have a surplus, and I think there's others that would want Dame Lillard or Scoot or Simons or whatever. I think they can get creative here.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Portland fan, what I'm rooting for right now is for them to commit to a timeline, and whether that is, I mean, it doesn't seem like they are going to try and win now with the guys that they have on there. To me, it's a lot easier to just lean into that youth. You have Anthony Simons, who's under 24 years old. You have Shaedon Sharpe, who you drafted last year. And now you have Scoot Henderson. To me, you can get some draft picks or maybe some young talent for Damian Lillard and just really commit to that younger timeline and building around those younger guys. And Damian Lillard was a great Blazer, maybe the best Blazer of all time. But I think that era is over, and I just don't believe that they can compete for a title in Portland, which is overall what Damian Lillard wants. He doesn't want to just compete for a team that's scrappy in the playoffs. Yeah. He wants to win an NBA title.
I think he would love nothing more than win a title and win it in Portland. I just don't see their lane. It's not there right now. They can try to sprinkle around the edges, but I think they're farther away from that. And I think they have to. He and the organization have to have the difficult conversation of, look, Damian, we love you. You've been fantastic. This isn't a slight on you. No. This is a redirect.
It's out of respect.
Absolutely.
You're too good of a talent to just sit and waste the rest of your career on this team that at the moment, especially if you stay on the team, I mean, that's going to lift their floor so much that, you know, it's almost going to be hard to be a losing team unless they do what they've done the past couple of years and just really sit him the last couple months of the season.
All right, let's go back and hear from Adam Silver.
In the 2023 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Derek Lively II from Duke University.
All right, and as we mentioned, we believe that pick is going to be flopped and go to Dallas. So nice move there. But yeah, back to Portland and Damon. I think you just do it professionally. Be right. We're trying to do right by you. Like, give us a few lists of team. You know, we can't make it perfect, but you know, I know Dame has said he'd love to play with Bam in Miami. You know, and I'm sure Miami's interested. That would be a place. I don't think they want to send him to Detroit for all this young talent and just go, you know, thanks, but see you later. Good luck. So I think hopefully they handle that professionally if in fact they do want to move him.
Yeah, I think you just kind of pointed at it there. I think that Dame and the Portland front office need to meet up. Dame essentially needs to just give him a list of teams that you're okay with going with. And then, you know, Portland needs to do right by him and really try and move him to one of those teams. You know, I just hope that it's not to one of those LA teams, especially not the Lakers. But I think Dame at this point in his career deserves to be moved to a title contender, and I would love to see him fit with that Miami team who was really just they were so close to winning a title, even though, you know, people feel like they overperformed this year. I think if you add Damian Lillard to that mix, that's a recipe to make the title yet again next year. Yeah.
The team that's next on the clock will be Toronto. There's been a lot of talk about Toronto and the Kings, whether it's been Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. There's news today or the last couple of hours or so, Chris, about Pascal Siakam publicly coming out and saying basically he wouldn't sign with any team that tried to trade for him. That makes it a little more difficult. Now it's a nice homage to Toronto, but maybe they want to move him. I don't know. And OG, who knows, he's in a final year of a deal. They're a little bit of a team like to watch that could move some things, but I also think they can add. And I don't know the direction they're going to go.
I don't either. And I think Masai is, he's valuing his guys maybe too much so, but they I think Siakam all but killed any trade stock he had by saying that he wouldn't re-sign anywhere. So it seems like at least that portion of Toronto will stay, but I still think that OG is a guy that they want to move or they would be willing to move. And if you're Sacramento, I think you have to kick the tires on a guy like that, because depending on what you have to give up, that could be a piece that could take you to another level.
Yeah. All right. We're going to hit a break here. We'll come back. We're almost out of the lottery. Toronto, then New Orleans. We're getting closer to that 24th pick, which belongs to the Sacramento Kings. We will have it for you when it happens, our reaction, our thoughts, all of that, and so much more as our NBA draft special continues right here on Sactown Sports.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown Sports coverage never stops.
I feel like we grew a lot during this playoff series with our defense, and if we can sustain that during the year, that's going to help us a lot.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Oh, he's back.
Who's back?
The clown.
The naked one?
Yes, Giggles. He just drove on the lot in a new Kia.
Does he want to trade it in?
No, he wants to show it off.
Isn't he showing off enough? Oh, here he comes.
See what Elk Grove Kia did for me? That's service. That's why they got my business, not you.
I think we've already seen too much of your business. Thank you.
Elk Grove Kia. Great service for everyone.
Elk Grove Kia has never made it easier for you to show it off. Like the hottest all-electric EV in the market, the luxurious EV6. Save big with lease specials of $10,000 below MSRP. Not just one or two, but every EV6 in stock. Don't worry about credit. No credit, bad credit, charge-offs, repos. Don't worry. Our team has over 100 years of experience. Others say no. Elk Grove Kia says yes. Get your EV6 today at Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall or elkgrovekia.com and show it off today.
Elk Grove Kia.
Audiences and top critics everywhere are awestruck by director Wes Anderson's Asteroid City.
People liked it. Oh, I'm sure I did.
New York Magazine raves it's a masterpiece.
I don't like the way that guy looked at us.
Okay.
The alien. Yes, the alien.
It's terrifically entertaining. Detain all witnesses. This is Wes Anderson's best movie ever.
That's correct.
It's true.
Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks.
I like the desert. I like aliens.
Asteroid City, rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters everywhere tomorrow.
Power Business Technology is proud to be 100% independent, locally owned, and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a 2022 Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer. Contact us today for all of your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BC. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Folsom Lake Ford has trucks. The F-150s are here. Explorers, Expeditions, and a huge selection of Broncos and Bronco Sports. They're in stock now at Folsom Lake Ford. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters, right here in Sacramento for your favorite Ford models at good, fair prices. Short on cash? Buy any new Ford with zero down. Save big with low interest finance rates. Plus, Folsom Lake Ford is paying top dollar for all trades. We want your vehicle regardless of mileage or condition. This could be the best time to buy a new Ford. Check out the huge inventory online at folsomlakeford.com or stop by the dealership and see the most recent arrivals. Looking for something special? Give them a call and tell them Doug Christie sent you. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall, your trusted dealer, my trusted dealer for over 30 years. FolsomLakeFord.com.
0 down with approved credit.
With the 5th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Asar Thompson from Oakland, California, an overtime elite.
Yeah, Malik, I'm told that the Pacers are trading back one with the Washington Wizards. Koulibaly, I'm told, is selected for the Wizards.
The Indiana Pacers select Bilal Koulibaly. The Washington Wizards select Jarris Walker from the University of Houston.
Back here on our special NBA draft coverage, you're hearing picks go by. We just had one moments ago. It was Toronto. They've selected out of Kansas, Grady Dick. So he goes to Toronto. This is one of those situations, Chris. It doesn't happen that often, but we've been following social media, and generally the picks are kind of known a few minutes before it's even presented on television. This one was actually presented on television before it happened. I remember the year the Kings took Bagley. It was just kind of going in order. I'm like, man, they were like on TV. They were like on pick 3, and they were already on like number 6 on Twitter. And then they got to Denver, and it stalled, and it stalled, and it stalled. I'm like, what is going on? It finally caught up. I think it was a last-minute pick, and it ended up being Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
So sometimes that happens, and there's no intel, and I think that's what just happened here.
Yeah, and I also think it probably speaks to Masai Ujiri.
Mhm.
And as we were just talking about how Masai is valuing all of his players, Masai likes to keep things close to the best.
I
And
like
it
that too.
Doesn't surprise me that Masai probably, even if they did make the pick 3 or 4 minutes ago, something tells me that Masai has a really good way of keeping information in the building. And, I think Grady Dick is a really good pick for him. I mean, they're not really a team that really has much shooting. They really don't have any pure shooters on the team. And, that's probably why the Rockets in all of these trades are probably asking for Keegan Murray, because they that's something they really lack. But I think Grady Dick is a really good pick for Toronto.
Yeah, let's revisit that part about the Kings, because we're going to try to always tie things to the Kings. Keegan Murray, I'm sure, is coveted by other teams. I'm on the stance of look, no one's untradeable, but it's going to be something special at this moment to trade Keegan Murray for me. And the OG rumor, I'm interested without it being Keegan. If it's Keegan, I don't think I would do it.
Yeah, you have to do some convincing at that point, because I just think you have to. Keegan Murray, the pace that he's on right now he has potential to really be something in this league. And I guess maybe you hope that he gets to a level of OG Anunoby, but with the shooting that Keegan provides at his size, that's just a really tough thing to find. And if you're going to ask the Kings to give that away, you're going to have to give them something really significant back in order for just the value to match up, because I think everybody is looking for somebody. I mean, Grady Dick is 6'6", 6'7". Keegan Murray is a legit 6'8", maybe even 6'9". I think if you can find a forward who can shoot the way Keegan Murray does, 40% from three in his first year of his career, you got to offer something that's really significant, and it really shouldn't take much more than Keegan if you want to give something back.
Yesterday on the last hour of Chris and Co, I joined you, and we were talking about draft day outfits.
Yeah, Grady Dick is definitely taking a massive lead.
He is noticed, and maybe he knew the Raptors. He's got the right color scheme, but that is one. I guess I am judging. I would say I'm not going to judge. I will put it this way. I think that one 10 years from now will go, what were you doing, man?
Yeah, definitely.
What are you doing?
That's not a timeless piece. That's not your typical tuxedo. Grady Dick is in
different.
A bedazzled red suit with like a red it's not really a turtleneck, but it definitely gives off the same
like
kind
a
of
cape,
vibe. It's
or like an apron, or not an apron, like a chef's top or something.
Very
it was different.
Yeah. I think we Christopher Laud sent us a video earlier where
of his outfit.
He said he was trying to replicate Dorothy from help me out here,
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Thank you. And he definitely looks the part. It's definitely an interesting fit. I think he's like I said, he's in the lead right now for most unique fit for sure.
See, I go the other way. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I'm glad that he went for the red with the ruby colors. I thought that was a great choice on his part.
You like it.
Again, I'm the fashion weirdo who loves color. So,
and I think it's not my taste today, but I also think in 10 years from now, when you look back at this, you'll go,
that was a choice.
Was that a thing? Was that going on right now? But
people said the same thing about Kelly Oubre's outfit, and I don't think we really feel bad about it. Remember, he had the shoes that were sparkly and had the spikes on it.
You're making me look that up.
I really like Scoot's outfit. He's got a nice little jacket.
That was different, but it added some spark to it. It had like some style to it.
Yeah, he's got those are diamonds laced all throughout that jacket. That's an expensive piece of clothing there. And,
see, I see what you're saying, Kyle, about Kelly
Oubre.
Yeah, his suit was classic.
Yeah.
That's good. The shoes are different. I'm okay with that. That was good.
That's fine. Yeah, you got to throw some personality in there, but I kind of you lose me when you're completely sequined out like Grady Dick is. That's a bit much. I don't even know where would you get one of those? Like all of these, I assume all of these are probably designer, tailored and everything. I mean, they're also massive humans, so
yes,
I would assume everything is tailored, but these have to be special order, I would hope.
For sure. We do have Shams' report. We'll let it be announced here because it should be coming in any moment on the last pick of the lottery, which is New Orleans. We go just back 1 year ago, Chris. This was the team. Look out for New Orleans. Look what they've done. Look at their recovery. They got in the play-in. They were dangerous in the playoffs. This is a team that might vault past everybody. And I think it was in December. They were the one seed.
They were the one seed, yep.
And they did not make even the play-in.
It was all downhill from there. And really that coincided with Zion Williamson going down as well. And it was yet another season where Zion couldn't log a ton of games. And, there was rumors today that Zion could have been moved up, especially if New Orleans was really interested in moving up to number 3. I'm very interested to see what New Orleans does here, because I think even still they have tons of talent. They have Zion, they have CJ, they have Brandon Ingram. They're a team that is, in my eyes, at least talent wise, they're right there. They're maybe this pick away from really being a nice solid team in the Western Conference.
And I think they've done other subtle picks that have been good. Herb Jones,
right? Herb Jones, absolutely. Trey Murphy last year as well.
Good pieces to be with them that should be better, and it all hinges on Zion. And there's rumors about when they move him. Sounds like they might keep him.
Yeah,
that's got to be one of the toughest decisions they have. But let's go back to hear from the commissioner, the final pick of the lottery.
I have another trade to announce.
Oh boy, this is the old one.
Yeah, it's old news, Commish.
As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Dallas Mavericks are trading to the Oklahoma City Thunder the draft rights to Cason Wallace, the 10th pick, and the Thunder are trading to the Mavericks the draft rights to Derek Lively II, the 12th pick.
Kyle had it first.
Save $30 million.
With the 14th pick In the 2023 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Jordan Hawkins from the University of Connecticut.
All right, well, there's the national champion, Jordan Hawkins, had a great tournament run. UConn champion there, and that is the last pick. Oh, that's not me. I think that's over there on UConn. But anyway, nice pick, solid pick, another guard
Solid
for
pick.
that to help them out.
Yeah, shooter as well, and a guy from a winning team and a winning franchise or a winning organization over at UConn who won the title last year. Just a really good pick for New Orleans, and just another guard that they can throw out there, a really good shooter, but really just an overall. When I say playmaker, I don't mean the traditional passing playmaker, but just a guy who really makes plays and makes a ton of winning plays as well. I do want to point out something that kind of flew under the radar in that Mavericks trade where they swapped 10 and 12 is getting off the Davis Bertans contract.
Yes.
Davis Bertans is owed 2 more seasons at about $35 million. So $17 million this next season, and then a $16 million player option the year after that. I mean, that's really significant for Dallas to get off of that and be able to sign possibly some free agents to add to Luka, Kyrie, and now Derek Lively.
And
as
that
well.
money from the Bertans contract is being converted to a trade exception. So the way it works is basically, you know how the NBA you have to match salaries?
Yeah.
Well, Dallas basically
free
has $17 million they can just throw
Sign
into
a
a
player.
contract.
Yeah. So they don't have to match contracts exactly.
Yeah. And the other part is, I think, well, we have seen an historic amount of trades. If we just go back to February, I mean, the trade deadline was crazy, Chris. And then now you get, some landmark names that have been moved. We mentioned Chris Paul earlier, Bradley Beal, Marcus Smart, just Porzingis, go down the list. Even these draft day trades. I think a lot of people are jumping in front of the new CBA,
Right.
and it's going to be different. You're hearing the term apron and second apron, all this stuff. It gets a little confusing to me, to be honest. But people are going to try to tweak the system or find the wrinkle. What is to their advantage? So I expect there'll be a lot more moves like this.
I think so. I mean, that league year kicks in July 1st. So we have about another week where we're still following the previous CBA. And I expect, again, we've heard names like Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram name was thrown out there. It'll be interesting to see if there's some star movement, in this final week before the CBA kicks in. I was talking with Emil the other day. Could like a guy like Karl Anthony Towns all of a sudden become available? I mean, there's stars who always get upset and want to be moved. It's a matter of time before some young disgruntled star, speaks up and wants to be moved. It could be Trae Young, could be Karl Anthony Towns. It could be anybody.
And seemingly, like, we will throw out one. Again, I don't know why we know these contracts, but we do. It's part of what it is. I think it sways our opinion of these athletes. But we'll go. There's no way that team could get rid of that contract. They sometimes find ways. It's just amazing how they do it. We do want to remind you we're getting closer to the Kings pick. After that pick is taken, our own Frankie Cartoscelli is out at the Kings facilities. We'll check in with him, get the perspective of other media. And again, Monty, the way it works, generally we'll talk after the completion of the drafts. We'll probably have all that audio for you as early as tomorrow morning with Dave and myself. And certainly, Chris, you'll have it, you and Whitey and the rest of the crew. But we got plenty to go. We're settling in. We're going to take a break here. The lottery picks are in. Atlanta's got their pick. Utah, and I think the thing
just
to
got
watch,
announced, actually, the Atlanta pick.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
Kobe Buffkin
Okay.
out of Michigan as well. So 2 Wolverines are now off the board.
So I think the teams to watch, which we'll have coming out of this break, it's Utah. Then the 3 that intrigue me the most, that I think are most similar to the Kings, the Lakers, Miami, and Golden State, go 17, 18, and 19. I feel like their board's going to be very similar to the Kings.
Yep.
So that's something to watch here. We'll have that when we come back as our draft coverage continues right here on Sactown Sports.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
Guys on other teams, when they look at the Sacramento Kings, they feel that this is a fun brand of basketball to play.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Hey, what's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Woodland. You know it's Jeep season. I keep hearing about the new Jeep Wrangler 4xE. Chad, do you have any deals this month?
Right now, you can lease a new 2023 Jeep Wrangler Sahara 4xE for only $3 $379 a month for 36 months with $49.95 due at signing. That's a savings of up to $13,500, or you can save up to $92.50 off MSRP, plus get $37.50 in federal tax credits for a total savings of over $13,000.
Whether I lease or buy the new 2023 Jeep Wrangler Sahara 4xe, I can save up to $13,000 or more.
Yeah, and now the only decision is which one you want, because we have a great selection of Wrangler 4xEs with over 50 available.
Find your perfect vehicle now when you search, select, and save at HobletDodge.com.
$13,500 in total net savings after $11,000 factory rebates and $2,500 dealer discount. Rebates include $7,500 federal tax credit, $3,000 carb rebate, and $500 California bonus cash. Must be California resident qualify. 36 monthly term, $49.95 cash due at signing, plus tax, license, and accessories on approved credit through Chrysler Capital. 25 cents per mile charge of over 10,000 miles per year. $92.50 total net savings after $57.50 factory rebates and $4,000 dealer discount. Plus optional $37.50 tax credit may apply for buyers who meet current federal tax standards only. Subject to change. See your CPA for qualifications. For California residents only, 5 net savings. See dealer for details.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
When I was younger, I may have did some stupid things, even committed some crimes. But I am not a criminal.
Youth Advocate Programs is a community-based alternative to youth incarceration, congregate placement, and neighborhood violence. Learn how at yapinc.org.
Jerry and Kenny here from Bell Brothers. And before you know it, the kids will be out of school for summer. But here's a little secret. At Bell Brothers, we never let our technicians out of school.
Nope. We require them to attend both hands-on and classroom training for a minimum of 3 hours a week, every week, for as long as they work for the company.
That's 150 hours a year. Regardless of how much experience they have or how long they work for the company, technology constantly changes in this industry, and we want our techs to be as current as possible.
We also train on customer service and communication skills to make sure you have a pleasant experience. We have dedicated training facilities and full-time trainers.
We don't leave anything to chance, which is why our technicians never get out of school. Call Bell Brothers right now to schedule an $87 precision tune-up. Our number is 916-444-1234, or find us online at theNoSurpriseGuys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
You know what time it is. It's time to trade up to a brand new Kia at Folsom Lake Kia. Trade up to all the newest technology and an industry-leading warranty. Shop Folsom Lake Kia, family owned for over 20 years.
With the 15th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Kobe Buffkin from the University of Michigan.
Well, Michigan has done quite well. A couple of draft choices. Juwan Howard, that's got to be a little weird for him. I mean, the coach losing a couple of prospects, including your son, but it's on her. And I heard some interviews with Jet Howard. He said, the toughest one was going to my dad. And he's like, my dad actually made it easy. He's like, well, what's your decision? He goes, I'm going to his right choice.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. I mean, it's weird when he's your coach, too, and your dad. But good for them. That's a big moment for their family.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's got to be big. It's big enough when these coaches, you see John Calipari all the time showing up when there's everywhere. 8 Kentucky guys. It's always a big moment for the coaches. But then to double that up and have it be your kid, I mean, that's like the dream night. I mean, I'm sure Juwan, you as a pro, not you, but Juwan as a former player, I'm sure, it's the dream to have one of your kids eventually make the NBA and live the same dream that you did. And to see that, played out, it's got to be one of the best nights of their lives.
We can add, it hasn't been officially announced, but, the sources are good, Shams and Woj. They're going to say that Utah is going to select Keontae George. So, Chris, that pulls us within 8 of the Sacramento Kings and those next 3. I mean, this is something I've been eyeing for a while in the draft because, personally, I believe the Lakers, the Heat, and the Warriors are good teams, playoff teams. Obviously, the Heat almost won a championship. They got to the finals. This, the argument is much like the Kings. Are you drafting someone to fit in, to be in the rotation? Are you taking a swing on a project that maybe you hit and you get a super stud late? I feel like these teams have similar draft concepts going in. I don't know if their draft boards are the same, But these three organizations have intrigued me the most in the draft.
Right. Yeah. No, all three of these organizations are trying to win now. And those are the kind of guys, again, that the Kings are hopefully going to look at is a guy that can impact winning next season. And at 17, 18, 19, for that to be Lakers, Miami, Golden State, that's if the Kings really like a guy and he gets past those three teams, Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox have to feel confident that their guy's probably going to fall to them, as 20 through 23 is Houston, back-to-back Brooklyn, and then Portland leading into Sacramento's pick.
Yeah.
You would think that those teams aren't really in the same place or aren't looking for the same thing that the Kings are at 24.
So names that obviously the name, I think, for every Kings fan, and I'm talking to just a few people at store around, they're like, the Kings going to draft Chris Murray. That's the name everybody. And I think the story is great.
Absolutely. And it is great.
And he's a good player. I don't want to hey, that's cute. You took his no, he's good.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a stretch to take him at 24.
Nope.
Honestly, I'm going to be a little surprised if he's on the board. The one scenario I've put out there that I've wondered out loud and secretly is, I'm sure they like him, but what if he is actually there and they like someone else more?
I keep thinking that too, because that's a really sticky situation to be in if you're Monty McNair, because on one hand, I'm sure everybody understands this is a business and Monty McNair has to make the right decision and the best decision for the organization. But at the same time, the first time you pass Keegan in the hallway, that's a little bit strange. And then, who knows if Keegan's parents seem to be awesome people, but who knows if they're going to feel the type of way about that, if that could, maybe down the line affect how Keegan feels about the organization. I don't know, but that's just, in some ways it's a great situation for the Kings to be in because of the possibility of making that story really incredible. But also, like you're saying, if they don't take him, what does that do? And does that have any fallout? It's an interesting subplot, but I think the Murrays, and I don't know them personally, but again, just from afar, they seem like they're a really good family, and I think they would understand. I'm sure it would be fun, and I'm sure Keegan would probably hold that over Chris for the rest of their lives.
Well, and then for those two individually, I'm sure you can make an argument for each one. Like saying it's better for them to be together.
Absolutely.
It might be better for them to be separate and lead their own careers. I don't know. Haven't had a twin brother. I don't know that path. The Morrises could have an answer. Seth and Steph aren't twins, but they've paved their own careers, and
they played. I think every pair of twins has played together. With the obviously the Thompsons just got taken, but the Morrises have played together. The Lopez's played for a year together. I think in
feels right.
Milwaukee.
Yeah,
and Seth came up in the Warriors organization. It does feel right. I think at the end of the day, and I was thinking about this the other day, I think it's just one of those things that they would, when they're 40 or 50 years old and they look back on their career, whether or not they want it now, I think they would regret if they never played together in the NBA. And, if you could just check that off at the beginning, you might be upset because, I really want to establish myself as my own identity and don't always want to be attached to my brother. But I just think, when they look back at their NBA career, they're going to want to say, wasn't that really fun when we played 2, 3, 4, who knows, even 15 years together. It's just a really cool, rare opportunity that I would love to see. Selfishly, I do think like 60% of me is rooting for it just for the story of it, because it's just such a great story.
And the flip side of it is like the story with the Martin twins, where they played together in Charlotte, and then Caleb got waived, went to Miami, and you've seen his career blossom since leaving his twin.
He went off. Yeah, it was a whole new guy out there.
It's not like a causation correlation thing, but it's just an interesting, on the flip side of the twins playing with each other, is going to different places worked great for Caleb.
Yeah, no, I think that there's definitely an element of, again, just like, you need to figure out who you are as yourself, and when you're twins, I'm sure you dress alike and do all that. So it's just finding who you are.
Here we go.
23 NBA draft. The Utah Jazz select Keontae George from Baylor University.
All right. So we mentioned Keontae George. I wonder if Minnesota's at home going, that was Rudy Gobert, part of the Rudy Gobert trade. One of the 9 different entities that was exchanged for Rudy Gobert. 5 players, 4 draft picks, or maybe it was 4 and 5. Either way, it was a lot for Rudy Gobert. But that is the first non-lottery team that was supposed to be Minnesota. This goes courtesy to Utah, and they take Keontae George.
Yeah, that's the yeah, you mentioned the Rudy Gobert trade. It just keeps on stacking up, and Keontae George is an interesting prospect for sure. The fit in Utah. I mean, Utah at this point is really just going to try and get as much as they possibly can. I think out of all of these picks, they're going to take younger guys. Keontae George is a freshman out of Baylor. They're going to skew young, but also, they're as we saw last year, we thought they were going to tank. They can still field a competitive team. And I think that's really the best situation to be in, because you don't foster a culture of losing. And we've seen here in Sacramento, when you have a young team, ideally it's also good to win at the same time, because again, you just don't want to build in those habits from a young age with your youngest prospects.
I know, Chris, today there was some finalization of the Bradley Beal trade, but if I remember reading earlier that Washington basically, I think in the Warrior deal, got a first-round pick. Is that the only one officially, or were there some pick swaps with the Bradley Beal?
There were
or a bunch of second-round picks.
I believe there was 4 pick swaps, if I'm not. Kyle, also, if you know, please feel free.
But I feel like they were even. The point being is Rudy Gobert got 4 first-round pick, or they got 4 for that, and they traded Beal, they traded Porzingis, and they traded Chris Paul, and I think they got 1.
Yeah.
So the details of the 2 trades they made today. So the Chris Paul trade, they got a protected 2030 first-round pick from the Warriors.
Sure.
That's a 7th grader, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on if the one and done rule changes, a 6th grader.
Wow.
And
LeBron's youngest son.
And in the Beal trade, it is all of their second-round picks until 2030, and pick swaps in 2024, 2026, 2028, and 2030.
As first rounds?
As first-round pick
okay,
swaps.
So that was better.
4 pick swaps. All of their draft picks go to Brooklyn in the Kevin Durant trade. All of their pick swaps in alternate years go to the Washington.
I think the story was, guys, that before the Durant trade, Phoenix had all of their control of all of their picks going forward, and now I think but after tonight, they're all gone.
They have nothing. They have no other assets. They cannot build via trade until next season, and maybe even further than that, because I know you can't. Yeah, with how you have to alternate years, it's an absolute mess. I
better
cannot
win a chip.
Yeah, you better win a championship, because this is the definition of all in, and Phoenix is all in. It'll be interesting how those pick swaps end up turning out too, because I mean, that would require Phoenix, I guess, to be worse than Washington in order for those to happen. So, it'll be interesting to track that on a, biannual basis.
Just for facts out there, we told you how far ahead this is. We just let you hear audio-wise of Utah's pick. Shams reported that one 9 minutes ago. There has not been a tweet since. The Lakers are on the clock. They're about 2 minutes away. So the ones to watch again, Lakers, Miami, Golden State, they're going to go back to back to back. We'll get that Lakers pick before we take our break here in this hour. But this is something really to watch. Lakers, obviously a good team. I think that trade, they made themselves considerably better, Chris, with that Westbrook deal.
Yeah.
Got more depth. I know Vanderbilt wasn't the guy they wanted in the postseason, but they just got better overall. I think Rory was a nice trade to get Hachimura. And as long as you got LeBron and AD, you got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they try and do here, what kind of pieces they feel like they need. I think the Lakers could always use somebody else to bring the ball down the floor besides LeBron James. Again, he's in his advanced age, and ideally you'd like everything to go through LeBron, but you're going to need other people who can have the ball in their hands. So I wonder if they go with guards here. Maybe they feel like they need some more forward depth. They might lose Austin Reeves, could lose Rui Hachimura. It'll be interesting to see what the Lakers go with here in terms of what they feel like is a really big need for them in the future.
Reeves is a good story. He's going to get paid.
It's interesting. It's really interesting what's going to happen with Austin Reeves, because he was a really big piece for the Lakers in their conference finals run, and he deserves to be paid. And if the Lakers can't do it, I would love to see a team like San Antonio maybe who might have some big intentions this year. I would like to see him go to a team like that.
So we're waiting on the Lakers. We got about 50 seconds until they are officially supposed to post their pick. They're on a commercial right now. We'll try to hang tight here. As far as
I don't like the fact that the Lakers are picking and there's a commercial running. It makes me feel like there's Jokic potential for this. I'm not a fan.
He's been on a lot of people's boards way high. Cam Whitmore is still out there. He's been up there for a long time, and that's one that for some reason our own Bob Gerald, who we talked to a lot, Hoop Obsession, I know he had him rated high. I don't know why he's still there. And these
really
guys all work out
surprising.
in front of everybody.
People were saying Cam Whitmore was one of the biggest shiners from workouts. I mean, people were saying he looks like a true number one scorer and someone that we should look out for. And I'm honestly, this is the biggest surprise for me. He has been the biggest faller of today. I can't believe Cam Whitmore is still on the board. And Shams is also just putting out the Lakers selection of Jalen Hood-Schifino, who is a freshman guard out of Indiana. So Lakers do address some potential ball handling there, but also somebody who's just a theoretical 3-and-D guy. But, a common thread in this draft is with the theoretical end of it. If he can knock down his shot, he's somebody who can stay on the floor. But, at this point in the draft, we're seeing not so much of surefire hits.
So Lakers looks like number 17, Jalen Hood-Schifino. We're getting closer to that 24th pick. We got more to go of the show. We're brought to you by Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the Lakers pick. Miami will be on the clock. We're back with more of our draft special here on Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but it's been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento, and I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 74 years. Look for made-in-America brands like Stanton, Sam Moore, Stickley, Hilltop Hickory, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sale event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Greetings from M&S Auto on El Camino, just off the Cap City Freeway. And a big thanks to our repeat customers for letting us be your favorite car dealer. Repeat customers make us proud. M&S customers know that they're going to find the car, 4x4, or SUV they want. They'll get treated like family and save thousands. Whether you're a repeat customer or a first-time buyer, welcome. M&S Auto, the intelligent car buying experience. MSAutogroup.com.
Pain is not normal. Greetings, Sacramento. Doug Christie here with the Good Feet store. Does this sound familiar? It's the end of the workday and the pain in your feet, knees, hips, or back is unrelenting. Good Feet understands that you've likely already tried assorted remedies and solutions with no relief. And now you're pretty much resigned to living with the pain. But do not give in to the pain. Instead, come to the Good Feet store for their end-to-end 3-step arch support system. Good Feet is the nation's largest manufacturer and retailer of personalized arch supports. With arch supports in over 300 sizes, styles, and flexibilities, and an arch support specialist in each store. Come in today for a free, no-obligation arch support fitting, then take them for a test walk around the store or around the center. Experience the comfort, balance, and support possible with the Good Feet system. The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and now in Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
1 in 4 people have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also an actor and advocate for disability inclusion across all aspects of life. The disability community is passionate, strong, powerful. We have so much to offer and deserve to be included in society. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Each Your Seals is delivering services, advocacy, and local supports that elevates the communities for everyone. That's my Eat Your Seals. Make it yours. EatYourSeals.com.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your flagship station for the Beam team.
Should we light the beam? Light the beam, baby.
Sactown Sports.
In non-NBA news,
with the 17th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Jalen Hood Schifino from Indiana University.
That was the most recent pick as we were going to break. You heard from Adam Silver, Jalen Hood Schifino from Indiana going to the Los Angeles Lakers. The next Laker you Kings fans can boo.
Yep,
wholeheartedly.
Exactly.
I can't believe I wanted the Kings to draft him. I dislike him now.
Never liked him. No, he's just would have been a bad pick.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
funny how that works. It's always funny how
I
that
can
works.
guarantee you after the 24th pick is made, assuming the Kings keep it, there'll be a mixture on social media, but the people that are in favor, it'll be like, I love this guy. I always have. Do you see his video? Look at these. Look what he can do. It's like,
look at this tweet I had 8 months ago about him. I actually knew I was first on him.
Did you watch him at Charleston State?
Oh
It's
my
like, come on.
gosh. You should have watched him as an 8th grader. Jeez, those kids didn't stand a chance.
Man, I will say this. I think the other
Not first
trend,
or last.
especially at the top between, let's see, who do we have? Scoot and the Thompson twins. Some people from, and Victor Wembanyama didn't play in the NCAA, but some guys from, whether G League or overtime, like there's a lot of talent to be had out there. They'll find you too, which is good.
Can I say I don't like it? I really
You
don't.
don't like
I don't like the
like-
fact that no one's in the. I mean, for sure you're gonna have the foreign prospects. No problem with that. You don't have to come over here and prove yourself in college. But the overtime elite stuff, I can't get over. Watching Shaden Sharp film last year, it's just really, really hard to try and get a gauge of how good these guys are at the level they're at because the competition they're playing is just inferior, and it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. If Asur and Amen Thompson play against you and me, Jason, that film's going to look incredible.
They better have 50
exactly.
and 20 and 10.
They better be dunking all over us. But what happens when they play against guys who are all, older than them, bigger than them, stronger than them, more experienced than them? We don't have that kind of film on them. And it's really tough to evaluate. And, that's why GMs like Monty McNair and assistant GMs like Wes Wilcox get the big bucks because they got to do all the inside, scouting and figure out what it is that really makes these guys great outside of the basketball floor as well. Like, how do you know guys who just have a determination to win? How do you figure out that?
That's
kind
hard
of
to
stuff?
measure. That's impossible. And I know to your point, I've done some Sac State basketball games, and two different players that I watched that they played that I thought, I think they'll be good NBA or could be NBA guys. One was at Utah Valley State was Ronnie Price. He ended up being on the Kings. And I mean, not an amazing player, but I'm like, hey, I think he's got a pro potential here. And then the other one was Damian Lillard. And I'm like, he definitely looks like a pro, but I didn't know how high he was going to go. And then you watch him, and then like when people ask, well, what do you think? I go, well, I think he'll be good, but I don't know if he's a lot. That was hard for me to judge, but he was great at Weber State. He's been a great pro. What do you got for us with Miami?
Man, so this one kind of broke a couple days ago. Again, randomly, it might have been yesterday even. There was an athletic report that was saying that Jaime Jaquez had just been lighting up everybody's pre-draft workout and was leaving people looking foolish and was just head and shoulders the most impressive player for most individual workouts. Well, that is shown through now as Jaime Jaquez is the selection for the Miami Heat at number 18. He is a Bruin.
Yeah.
And he's been a part of this Bruins winning
he won a lot of games there.
It's been 3 years did he stay? And obviously had that national title run come up just short. Sorry, Jason. But he was a great Bruin and really versatile. Was somebody that they used at small ball 5, played some forward, projects to be a guard in the NBA, but really just somebody who I think has a lot of positional versatility and really fits in with the, get ready for this, Heat culture. First Heat culture dropped on today's show.
Well, that and the other term for them, I think, is positional versatility. That team plays smaller. I mean, Bam plays center. He's undersized, but he's a really good player. But they're not afraid to play. They would take Bam out, and I felt like because they were playing Jokic, they bring in Cody Zeller, but sometimes they would just play smaller than that. Let's go to the commish.
With the 18th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Miami Heat select Jaime Jaquez Jr. from UCLA.
So as you get later in the rounds, that's probably part of the issue here. As the Miami Heat obviously are a very good team.
Yep.
And you're getting a good player and an experienced player, and sometimes it's more of Like the situation for Jaime Jaquez Jr. is so drastically different than it is for Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, right.
I mean, not only who they're playing for, but Wembanyama's got to go save that franchise.
Yes,
Jaquez has got to fit in the Miami Heat.
Yeah, exactly. And it also speaks to, exactly, the level of expectation on these guys as well. Jaime Jaquez is going to have an opportunity to fail in the NBA. Like, he doesn't have to come in and be an impact guy day one. I think he definitely could be. But Victor Wembanyama, if he comes in and isn't everything as expected, if he's not the best player on the San Antonio Spurs,
right?
It's the first day of camp,
yeah,
then it's a real problem. And it just, again, to your point, though, also, he gets to walk into a team that was just in the NBA Finals and again, can really foster his skills. And it doesn't have to be learning bad habits. It can all just be, how can this guy only impact winning? And you can just focus on that. So, I mean, it's obviously not where these guys want to be. No one dreams of being the 18th pick in the NBA draft. But there's definitely value, and it can be really beneficial to your career to just have opportunities to fail and not have the weight of the world on your shoulders.
We're coming up to the 19th pick, which is the trio of picks I was flagging and most concerned about. Jaden Hood Shafino went to the Lakers. I don't know where the Kings had him rated. You got Jaime Jaquez Jr. right now going to Miami. The Warriors are the next pick. Also, if you missed the news earlier today, the Warriors deal Jordan Poole to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul. Let's spend a few moments on that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I felt like, again, I'm a victim of social media. I felt like everybody hated it on a lot of levels because Warrior fans had turned quickly on Jordan Poole. I don't think Chris Paul is a wildly popular player around the league.
Not especially around Warrior circles either, after all the battles they've had throughout the years.
But I think just across the board, head to head, I think Chris Paul's a better player. And I'm not even saying his career is by far. But even today, and Jordan Poole's a good player. I wouldn't.
He's going to score 20 plus a game next year.
Maybe high 20s because someone has to on that team. But, the punch is a reality. I think this opens up things, makes it a little bit easier financially, too, for Draymond. I think that's a necessity.
Yeah.
There's going to be some fit things. But, I mean, look, Chris Paul is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer, whether most people don't like him. I'm less worried about the fit. It'll be a thing. But I think they'll figure it out, and they just added a talented player on 1 year, like 3 years less of a contract than Poole.
The one thing
he's older though,
right? That's an understatement.
Yeah.
He's like a whole NBA career younger. He's like 14 years younger or older than Jordan Poole. The one thing I can't get out of my head for Golden State, and the reason why I just can't kill this trade like it seems like everybody else is just think about the locker room culture that they just brought in there. Like
as a positive or
as
a negative?
Positive.
Okay.
Think about just the dedication to winning that is now going to be in that Golden State locker room. And especially if you consider them bringing back Draymond Green. I mean, not a single person in the NBA is as hungry to win a championship as Chris Paul.
True.
And that is what Golden State does. I mean, as they've won 4 and 1 just 2 years ago now. I mean, to me, that's the kind of reinvigoration that you need for that kind of organization. And I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Kerr has his handprints all over this because I can't remember who the player was. But there's teams throughout history who have said that, you need to bring in those guys every couple of years so that it's like, no, we need to go win one for that guy. And, it's just kind of reinvigorates the guys after years and years of playing the longest schedule of anybody else. You kind of need those new carrots to be dangled in front of you. And I think Chris Paul and Draymond Green are just they're going to be a nightmare in film sessions, and they're going to make sure that every single person is trying to win games. I mean, that's going to be the culture in Golden State next year. And I think, regardless of how Chris Paul is going to be on the floor, I just think it's good to have that kind of mentality as an organization.
Kyle, you said the Warriors pick
is in.
Apologies if I mess up this person's name. I'm reading it for only the second or third time. It is Brandon Podziemski.
Oh, yes, Santa Clara.
Oh, look at me. Yeah, Brandon Podziemski is the draft pick for the Golden State Warriors at 19.
Very skilled player. interesting because he's a guard
Yep.
and he's pretty much a guard as a guard. Like he's not really a forward. People
he's
are
more
really
like combo guard, right?
Yeah,
Point two.
combo guard. So maybe I guess
That's probably a sign for DiVincenzo being gone. You
He's
got
gone.
Curry, you got Paul, you got him.
Jordan Poole is gone.
Yeah.
And to me, this is the Jordan Poole replacement in so many different ways. Not necessarily in terms of he's going to come in and score 20 points a game, but just he's probably going to be getting a good handful of those Jordan Poole minutes, I would imagine. And this is a guy who's just, as you mentioned, a combo guard, somebody who, if you watch his highlights, I mean, there are a lot of highlights, especially of him passing the ball, just has really good feel for the game, has shown an ability to knock down some shots, is just one of those guys that seems to get it. And when you watch him play, it's just like that guy's a basketball player. So as a Warrior hater, I don't like to see it, but the fit isn't perfect, and he's going to have to earn himself some minutes with this Golden State team, who Steve Kerr has already shown he does not like to play young guys.
Let's hear it.
In the 2023 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Brandon Pojemski from Santa Clara University.
And he's a 20. He's about 6'5", 6'4", maybe in there. So we'll see what he can do, what he can provide for that team. That Bob Myers is technically still on the clock. It's a little bit like Michael Jordan.
I was going to say, is he involved in this pick?
I don't know. I don't know to the level, but Dunleavy quickly is, and the Lakers and all that. They're all involved here. But again, I think that if you look at, and I mentioned that stat earlier, as far as number one picks all the time that have been drafted by their team that have won a championship. I told you in the history of the lottery, there's 20 total players in lottery positions that were drafted by the team that they won championships, and most of them are Warriors. And you got Curry, you got Barnes, you got Kuminga, you got Moody in there, technically Wiseman. So I would say, by and large, this is a team that is drafted well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's kind of how they built the thing in the first place. They drafted Clay, they drafted Steph, they drafted Draymond, and just fostered winning around those guys. And this is the easiest path to success for most teams. This is how you can control who you bring in, is in the draft. And if you can nail the draft process, it just does you so many favors in terms of being able to build your team and kind of have unexpected successes. I mean, and you don't have to look any further than Denver, who got a second round pick and turned that into a two-time MVP and a finals MVP just last year. And we now know the 20th pick as well in this draft, as Adrian Wojnarowski is saying that the Houston Rockets are ending the slide and are taking Cam Whitmore at number 20.
Okay.
And that's interesting as well, because now with what will that be? Three picks to go? 3 picks.
They like to play.
Hey, Kyle, that one's on. That one's, yep. There we go. They're 3 picks away.
3 picks, and there's Leonard Miller, Dariq Whitehead, Chris Murray, all still out there.
A lot of forwards. And I think, I don't want the Kings
CD
to draft.
Sissoko as well.
Yeah, draft for need, but I think that's an area. It's interesting. I think you could argue that it feels today, right at the moment, Chris, that they need forwards, but if they re-sign Trey Lyles, if Sasha comes over, if they re-sign Harrison Barnes, then, I mean,
they could still use maybe one more.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's going to be tough to find minutes for him.
You still take what you like the most, but it does feel like forward and or center. But you can make an argument for another playmaking guard. So I think they could go a lot of different ways. We're now officially, as long as Whitmore's the one to Houston,
So
as
we
you
got
said,
21, 22, 23.
Brooklyn, and Portland.
Yeah.
So we are definitely getting closer to the moment of truth for Monty. The one thing I've always wished, and I think I'm just going to ask one time, all they'll say is no, is I would really love to be in the room. And in my mind, I feel like it's like we're doing a lot of different things. There's a lot of moving parts. I feel like phones are ringing, people are
everything,
and it might just be totally opposite of that.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's like anything. You've done fantasy drafts. I've done. I'm like, they took him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a lot of laughing.
I feel like I also would like to hear that. Oh wow, they thought Brooklyn was terrible at drafting or whatever.
I'm sure Monty and Daryl Morey have a group text together that is just like, oh my God, have you looked at the advanced analytics on this guy? Can you believe that they just did that?
Yeah.
Wow, all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I can imagine draft rooms are. If I had to guess, I would say that they're probably really, really silent until you're about to go, and then I just bet that it's absolute chaos, tons of nerves, tons of anxiety, and I can't imagine what it's like to actually decide, okay, so
this is what we're doing.
This is the guy. We all agree on this.
Or do you literally like, okay, we're here. We're just following the board. This makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, we're 23 is up and someone's calling for the 24th pick. And like, okay, here was our plan.
Right.
But
and
they're
how
now
fast
offering,
those conversations
can we
have
get
to
that
have.
guy at 28 and get something else? And then what if we don't get him at 28?
Right.
You know, just that's in real time.
Yeah, figuring that all out in real time. Again, that's why they get paid the big bucks, because you have to be able to process everything. You have to figure out how it's not just going to affect your team right now, not just in 2 months, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 5 years as well. Like there's real implications that tonight could have if you mess it up, or if you knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
it can change your entire franchise overnight.
All right, break time for us. Of course, the Kings pick is coming up soon. We got a couple from Brooklyn. You got Portland in there, then the Kings. Our coverage brought to you by Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. Chris and I are back with more of our special NBA draft show right here on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
We, as a team, have a ways to go. This is something that you want to be able to build off of.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Hey, it's Nick Cattle suggesting you celebrate your 4th of July the right way with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Our Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned us into pros. Napoleon grills have features other grills can't match. Built different, built better, and built to last. All made with premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Just go to Napoleon.com for your nearby Napoleon Grills dealer. Napoleon Grills, now is the time for the best selection of grills and fine accessories. Now is the time to take care of your 4th of July.
For new golf clubs, they want to see their ball flight outdoors. And why should you settle for any less? The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is the area's unquestioned leader in delivering a new age of golf club fitting to Northern California. With 14 trained, skilled professionals to show you how to hit the ball farther and straighter, satisfied customers have increased their yardage, improved their games, and gained confidence. Call 916-808-2531 to get started. That's 808-2531 for longer, straighter drives.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you find the right customers. Spread awareness of your product or services. We can help build trust in your brand and services with a digital marketing campaign. Increase leads and get more customers. We create tailored digital marketing campaigns that deliver results. Don't wait. Get started today. Contact aimyourdigital.com. That's aimyourdigital.com and start seeing results.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
We know you love your sports, but when you're looking for country music, make sure you dial up 105.1.
I'm just a guy with a girl.
And get commercial-free New Country all day.
She got the best of me.
New Country 105.1.
With the 19th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Brandon Podziemski from Santa Clara University.
Thank you to all of you that are taking the time to check us out on our YouTube page. Hit that thumbs up button while you're there. These shows are fun. They're live. They're real. They're interactive. We just don't know what's going to happen. You just heard the pick for the Warriors. Cam Whitmore also just went to Houston. So, Chris, we are closing in Brooklyn, and Portland before the Sacramento Kings. And I mean, again, we've done a lot of draft previews, looking at different guys. There's seemingly there's some talent there to be had for the Kings, and let's hope they get the right pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely guys out there right now. Bryce Sensabaugh's out there. Chris Murray is still out there. Omax Prosper is still out
We've been
there.
a fan of his.
There's a lot of guys that are still out there. Lamar Miller out of G League Ignite is still out there, and that's just the forwards, which is where I assume Monty McNair is going to look. But there's tons of guys out there if in whatever kind of direction Monty McNair wants to go. Also, CD Sissoko is a guy who was rising up mock draft boards before this. There's just tons of talent out there, and let's not forget either. Kings pick at 24, but their second round pick isn't that far away from them as they pick at 38. So there's going to be a quick turnaround from the Kings picking here in the first round, and then a much shorter clock for second round picks. The Kings are hoping that they can really possibly get 2 impact players right here at 24 and then at 38 as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these next few picks shake out.
We were saying this during the break. There are 3 teams that do not have a pick at all in this draft. That's the Bulls, the Knicks, and the Sixers. I'm sure every GM has just called them just because. Like, you just got to, hey, you want in? You want in? Okay, what would it take to get you to 24? Is there a piece you can get, or at 38 or 54 if you're the Kings? Or the Kings are, I think, one of 10 teams that have 3 or more picks. I mean, so it feels like 10 teams are kind of controlling the entirety of this draft.
Yeah, no, and we know that from Monty McNair's history, he tends to move those second round picks. So it would not surprise me at all if one, if not maybe even both of these second round picks aren't used by Sacramento. Even this 24 pick, I mean, we haven't heard any whispers so far, but there's no guarantee even here at 24 that the Kings are going to make their selection. Though it is seeming with how this board is shaking up, I would be very surprised if the Kings weren't high on any of these guys. And I forget that Noah Clowney is another guy who's out there and available. So there's just tons of forwards out there. And if Monty McNair liked any of them in this pre-draft process, I think that there's going to be at least one guy out there that he really, really liked.
The next part of this draft is a unique situation because Brooklyn has both picks. It's theirs and the one from Phoenix. So they have a little control here, and I'm sure they're fielding some calls even up to the last minute.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, because, I mean, if people want in, they're in 2 consecutive spots, but they could maybe go a sensible pick and then maybe a risk. I mean, they could take 2 forwards, 2 guards, split it up, and they just got all sorts of choices.
Yeah, this is a really interesting swings position as well for one Dariq Whitehead, who, from what I understand, his foot surgery was done by the Brooklyn Nets doctors. So if Brooklyn doesn't take Dariq Whitehead, that should be a major red flag to everybody out there that the guy who probably knows the most about that injury is passing on him. That should tell you everything you need to know. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we are waiting on Brooklyn at the moment. Again, that's Brooklyn, Portland, and then the Sacramento Kings. Brooklyn, what a transformation. I think about what they've been through for, I don't know, the last 10 to 15 years. They had that, team at one point with Garnett and Pierce and Darren Williams, and then they
Andre Karolinko
struggled again for a while. Then they just went for it again with Durant and Kyrie and either Harden and Simmons, and now it's a reboot again.
It is, yeah. And last time they did pretty well, even with no picks. They were able to kind of, bring in that Kenny, was it Kenny Atkinson was their head coach? That Kenny Atkinson era of actually being a pretty solid team. And if you remember, that kind of revitalized D'Lo's career as well. They were pretty good last time they tried this rebuild stuff, and for them to land Mikal Bridges as part of this rebuild, that's a great foundational piece to start with. And I just got news right here. Shams is saying that the Brooklyn Nets are selecting Noah Clowney with the 21 pick in this year's draft. So that is a power forward center off the board there who maybe could have gone to Sacramento.
Yeah, that of the when you start to look at draft boards, again, it doesn't always go this way, but I was taking players from around 20 to 30 in a lot of people's draft boards.
Yeah.
That was one that I saw a lot of them. And when I watched tape, I did like Noah Clowney a lot. That's a guy I thought made some sense to the Kings. So that's the first one that I kind of went, oh man, okay, but you're only taking one there, but that was one that was on my radar, let's say, for a King.
Yeah, definitely. He was on my radar as well. I did not think at all he would be available anywhere near this pick, so I'm not surprised that he's not available when the Kings are selecting, but would have been somebody who would have been a really good option as the backup center. And obviously, we know that there's not tons of minutes available there, and And there's, again, a couple other guys out there that I have my eyes on in this draft for that spot. But I think Noah Clowney would have been a really good addition. And I think a team like Brooklyn, where, there's not too much pressure immediately on him to succeed or be something, I think that's a really good spot for them as well. And they just lost Jared Allen as well at the last deadline. So, or at last season. So that I think that's a good replacement for them.
You guys were saying about a minute ago they might take a short-term play and then maybe a risk. Does this classify as a safe pick, or is it a riskier play? What do you think?
This is like, it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, he is young. He's a freshman, coming out as a freshman. So he does have that upside that you're looking at, but he's also, he's a little bit of a ready now guy. And, he kind of is what he is. He's not really, I don't think, going to develop much of a jump shot or anything like that. So he's just kind of your traditional big in my eyes, but I think is still somebody that's incredibly valuable in the NBA, especially when you're picking here at 21. You're kind of playing with free money at this point.
It's also interesting because they have 0 picks next year.
Oh yeah,
and
I read, and he's a tough one to rate in two senses here, because I saw some people thinking maybe he was valued higher because he was evaluated at Alabama with Brandon Miller,
right?
But also, okay, Brandon Miller, what if he wasn't there? Would Clowney have done more? I think he's a little bit of a tough one to read, but hey, look, you're picking 21. You're trying to make a connection. You're trying to make a hit. Certainly, if you're Brooklyn. So he is the next pick. They're going to have another one. Then it's Portland, and then the Sacramento Kings. So you're 2 away from a potential Chris and Keegan Murray potential.
Yeah, potential.
I will say this: if Chris Murray is there, fan-wise, I think people will be disappointed if the Kings don't take him.
I think so.
Whether they're
too.
right or wrong,
Right.
I think they'll be disappointed.
No, again, I think a lot of people are rooting for the story. It's a good story to tell, and the brothers, especially with just how lovable Keegan was this year. I think to double down on that kind of personality is something that Kings fans just really want to see. Chris is a really nice, good guy, and it would be. I think it would really bring an interesting personality dynamic out of Keegan as well, who's really, really shy. You would have to imagine that having his twin brother there would probably lighten him up, or would just open up a different angle of Keegan that we haven't seen yet. And also, there could be a level of comfort that brings to Keegan as well. It could, you could add to Keegan's game just by bringing in Chris to the organization, and maybe it makes him feel a little bit more at home and a little more comfortable, even more comfortable than he was last year. So there's potential that it could be, addition, not just by player, but also how he could affect somebody else on the roster as well.
Yeah. So we're getting closer to the second pick here for Brooklyn. Like we said, as we get the pick for the Kings, we'll let you hear it. We'll get some analysis from us, from the experts as well. We're going to check in with Frankie Cartoscelli, who's out at the Kings facilities. We were out there last year. It's an interesting experience. You got to watch the draft. You got the media around, and ultimately at the end of the night, Monty will share his thoughts, his rationale. And they're going to be excited. They should be. You're always happy with what you did, but I don't know if the draft always plays exactly the way you want it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear. I'm sure Monty will say, this is exactly what we thought would happen, and we got our guy. But, to your previous point, I would love to know the conversations that actually go on in the draft room. And, is there debate? What's happening right now?
Yeah.
Are they circling the wagons? Are they saying, are they doing their own version of mock drafts and saying, hey, if he goes here, what do we do then? And are they fielding calls right now? Do they feel like they can maybe move back for a guy that they really want and gain some other assets on top of that? I mean, the Kings are one of a few teams who only own their picks. They don't own anybody else's future first round picks or anything like that. As a matter of fact, they owe it to Atlanta next year. Yep. So this could also be an opportunity for Monty McNair if he sees how the draft board is shaking out and he believes, hey, maybe I can fall all the way back to 28 and get an additional first round pick 2, 3, 4 years in the future. Maybe that's a move that Monty likes to look at, especially as they're going to try and improve via trade, as we're hearing so many whispers about the Kings maybe looking at guys like OG Anunoby.
Yeah. All right. I will say this as well, too, that in past experiences, whether it's Jerry Reynolds, Scotty Sterling, who have been involved in scouting or in the front office, they have said that, let's say for lack of a better term, like there's a table and there's maybe 10, 12 people in there that scouts, decision makers, the GM and, ultimately, and, there's kind of a go around the room on who you like. And then ultimately ends up in the GM's hands.
Yeah.
Now, there may be other people with influence, but you hope that, I mean, if it's done right, I hope you get closer to unanimous feel. And I don't know that you'll ever get full. I mean, I bet the Spurs were about as close as you could be, like we're going Victor, but I think there were arguments for Scoot, maybe even Brandon Miller.
Right.
But I think they locked in on Victor. But when you get to 24, I got to imagine you got about 8-10 different ideas for that.
I'd go as far as to say that there's something wrong with your organization if there's not differing views,
you
especially
want
at
that.
24. There should be people who view your needs and other people, how they view prospects differently. You need some diverse thinking in order to truly get all sides of things. And I think, if Monty McNair does have everyone in that room agreeing on a consensus, A, that person better be as good as everyone thinks he is. And B, again, you probably need to look around and wonder what that says about you. But something tells me that there is conversations happening, especially with the amount of people that are still available. Something tells me that they were not expecting all of these forwards to be available where they were or where they are right now. And I mean, there's just a great opportunity for the Kings to go and find their guy. I think, again, now, and I told you this during the break, now is kind of the time for Monty McNair. He just got that extension.
Mm-hmm.
You got to earn your money now because
back up that title.
You've got your choice, man. You've got your pick of the litter. Which forward do you want? There's tons of good options out there. You now have to trust the work that you've done leading into this draft and make sure that you get the right guy, because there's a couple different guys out there that fit needs. There's some guys out there that might have higher ceilings. You have to do all those calculations right now and figure out what you think is the best pick, because not the national media might not be looking at, how did Monty McNair pass or fail this pick? But here in Sacramento, people are absolutely going to be saying 3-4 years from now, Monty picked X at 24, but look at the guys who went at 20 and 22, but also at 26, 27. Can't believe he passed on him. So there is still pressure. Might not be as much pressure, but there's still pressure on 24.
All right. Don't believe you.
Touch that dial.
Exactly. We're going to have the Kings pick coming up. We got Brooklyn, we got Portland, then the Kings pick. We're going to take a break here. We'll have that Kings pick and the reaction. That's all coming up here on our draft special here on Sactown Sports.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
I feel like we grew a lot during this playoff series with our defense, and if we can sustain that during a year, that's going to help us a lot.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Hey, kids, it's Carmichael Dave from my good friends at Fire Wings, the perfect fast casual eating establishment for the entire family. A great place to enjoy all the ball games from all around the country with 21 delicious flavors to choose from. Bone in, bone out. For more convenience, order online. Go to firewings.com. Find a location near you. Grab that order online and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you. Fire Wings. Hey, just wing it.
Summer's here, and the deals are heating up at Fastener's Tool Outlet. You'll find scorching deals this Saturday on Makita Tools. Get 2 free batteries with the purchase of a circular saw kit and get $50 off any 40-volt tool kit. Fastener's Tool Outlet is turning up the heat on Makita summer savings this Saturday. Buy a 2-piece combo kit and get 2 extra free batteries. Come in to Fastener's Tool Outlet this week, 6701 Power Inn Road, or on the web at fastenersinc.net.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Selling your home can be stressful. Scott Marsh here to tell you about Bridgehaven Homes. They are a local home buying company that offers homeowners an easier way to sell their home. Let Shane and his team at bridgehavenhomes.com take that stress away. Bridgehaven Homes gives you an all-cash offer for your home, no matter what the condition, within 24 hours. You pick the date you wish to close and sell on your terms. No repairs, no showings, and no realtor commissions. Call 916-299-6040 or bridgehavenhomes.com.
Right now, more than 100,000 children waiting in foster care need our help. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is focused on finding them safe, permanent homes. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
With the 22nd pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Dariq Whitehead from Duke University.
Who's going to be the next Sacramento King? Join the list of legendary picks to not so much. But it happens. You have a decent draft history. You have some busts. You have some hits. You got Fox on there. I think Monty, if you look at Fox, you look at Halliburton, you look at Davion Mitchell. It's done pretty well, and we are just 2 picks away as the Dariq Whitehead goes as the second of 2 picks to Brooklyn. Portland, Chris Watkins is on the clock. Are they really going to do it? Are they going to take Chris Murray right in front of the Kings?
Yeah, you pointed at it at the break. You said if Portland really wants anybody on our team, they should just take Chris Murray and hold him over our head and say, hey, you want Chris Murray?
How badly do you want him? What?
Jason Ross.
It happened?
You're an oracle. The Portland Trailblazers are selecting Chris Murray with the 23rd pick in the NBA draft. One shy of falling to the Sacramento Kings at 24 and reuniting with his brother, Keegan Murray.
You're sure this isn't a fake Twitter account?
I am 100% positive it is a Shams notification. I have my notifications on for that exact reason.
Yeah.
It is Chris Murray going at number 23 for Sacramento. But you know what? If anything, that could be, if you want to try and spin that positively, now there's no, did Monty only take him to take Keegan and Chris together? Now we will truly know who Monty thinks is the best option out there. And again, I think it would have, there would have been potential for a little bit of an awkward meeting in the hallway if he would have had Chris on the board and passed on him. So now all of that drama is avoided. Not that there probably would have been, but good to see Chris get selected. Also, obviously, we play the Blazers a good handful of times, so we'll still get to see those two square up against each other, but unfortunately won't be on the same side of things.
So some names to consider here for the Kings. If looks like Chris Murray's going right before them, Bryce Sensabaugh, Trace Jackson Davis, Leonard Miller. Let's see who else possibly for the Sacramento Kings at that spot. Who's that?
Omax Prosper.
Yes.
Still out there.
Very much a possibility. So we will continue to monitor this, continue to watch it, but it sure looks like Portland is going to select Chris Murray. We will let you hear that when that pick officially comes in from the commissioner. So, and it looks like it's coming your way right now. So close, Sacramento Kings fans. So close.
The 23rd pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Chris Murray from the University of Iowa.
Chris Murray.
All right, so Chris Murray in the Pacific or in the Western Conference.
I was hoping there might be some Sacramento Kings fans who started booing in the crowd.
Why are they booing him? He's such a nice guy because they wanted the pairing.
You know what, though? This also proves to the point that Chris Murray was a legitimate prospect.
Yep.
Again, this was not just a Sacramento Kings thing or a Keegan Murray, feel-good story. Chris Murray was a legitimate prospect around this time. And again,
this
we
was the
talked
neighborhood
about
he was in mock drafts from 17 to 24.
Yep, and this is really the low end of it. So I'm surprised to even see him go this far down. I mean, he's going to come into the league and instantly just kind of be a 5-tool player. He can do a little bit of everything. Isn't really phenomenal at anything. And that's the reason why he wasn't taken at number 4 like his twin brother Keegan. But just a really toolsy guy and somebody who can definitely impact winning, I think, in this league. And I'm also really glad as we watch here, I'm glad that we won't get any more Chris Murray pro comp Keegan Murray, but left-handed because they are completely different players. And I thought this entire draft process has been incredibly lazy on that front.
If Portland does trade Damian Lillard, is Chris Murray the oldest Blazer?
I think so.
He's not,
definitely.
you got
He's
Jeremy
in the
Grant,
running
you got
for
some
it.
others, but he's one of the older players in the team.
Yeah, he is, and he definitely brings that pro level maturity to him. We saw Keegan walk in and just be a real pro from day one. I expect the same thing out of Chris. Again, their parents are great. You have to believe that they they just know how to handle themselves at a professional level, and it's going to be really fun to watch these two battle it out for the foreseeable future in their careers. Just a really cool story and just an awesome opportunity for that family.
Well, we brought it up earlier on the show. I was like, okay, there's such great thought to them being teammates, but it might be better for them professionally.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Keegan is picked fourth, the higher prospect. Keegan might have blocked Chris from playing a lot on the Sacramento Kings. Now, they could have played some time together, but now, we'll be watching games where they're guarding each other.
Yep. Yeah. No, it'll be really interesting. It'll be really fun just to see that edge and to see what's going to happen there. Oh, my goodness. We have – oh, man.
What do you got?
We have breaking news here. Kyle, do we have a breaking news sounder? No? Yes?
Yeah,
maybe,
we do.
Maybe so.
When it breaks,
we have it first.
It's Sactown Sports breaking news.
Which one should I start with, Jason? The selection?
Yeah, let's give them the Kings news first.
So the Sacramento Kings, with the 24th pick, are taking the guy that I really, really wanted them to take. They're taking Olivier Maxence Prosper at number 24.
Yes.
He will not be suiting up for the Sacramento Kings.
Yep.
He has been traded along with the contract, the 2 years remaining of Richaun Holmes. The Kings have packaged the 24th pick along with Richaun Holmes and traded it to Dallas. And it seems as if it's been into a traded player exception, which I believe is pretty much like what Kyle was describing earlier, where it's essentially just you get Richaun Holmes' contract to use in trade. So that is
but what are the Kings getting back?
To be determined. To be determined.
Derek Lively?
I don't think so. But we will definitely.
So according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the $17.5 million that were created in the Davis Bertans trade, we're
just
taking
$13
million of that and just
frees up
sliding it
money.
in.
There we go.
Yes.
So the Kings, if anything, have moved a pick. They haven't added a player.
Mm-hmm.
They have freed up money. Now, the Kings were one of the few teams that had potential, if they freed up money, to be even a bigger player in free agency.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the move, unless they're I feel like there needs to be something in return, but who knows? Maybe it's a second-round pick. I'm not exactly sure. We got to wait and see how this goes.
Even just freeing up cap space is a good move for this Sacramento Kings team for sure. Again, you pointed out that makes them a bigger player in free agency.
With the 24th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Olivier Maxence Prosper from Montreal, Canada, the NBA Academy Latin America, and Marquette University.
Wow.
How about that? He is 6'8", 215. But
he is also a Dallas Maverick.
He is also going to be a Dallas Maverick. What we started the show with, one of our pet peeves, he's going to put on that Kings hat. His suit, he's in purple. It's like he knew it. But Olivier, we hardly knew you.
Yeah, it's this one's gonna at least hurt for the next couple weeks here, as I'm gonna have to.
That was
forever
your guy,
see,
your man crush.
I'm gonna see the Sacramento Kings selecting Olivier. How about that pronunciation, Maxence Prosper? Out of Marquette. This is going to hurt for just a couple days here, but I think overall this is a good move for the Sacramento Kings. Nate Duncan of the Dunked On podcast puts out that the Kings now have $30 million in cap space. So that is clearly a huge advantage for Sacramento. There's not many teams out there that have a lot of cap space. This also makes it,
they're one of 7.
They're one of a few, and there's names out there like Kyle Kuzma. There's names out there, Jeremy Grant, Chris Middleton just declined a player option. But this also makes it a little bit easier if they wanted to make a trade and not have somebody take up all of their cap space via trade and still add somebody in free agency.
So there's pros and cons with this. Obviously, there's nice to get a draft pick to have contract control, but I think this is being done, and let's also, we got to give a huge amount of shout out and respect to Richaun Holmes. The career he had here didn't end the way, but Chris, he is the exact guy. He was the feel good, make good story that I love it when the Kings add players that have their best years in Sacramento. He was a good player in Philly, nice in Phoenix, blossomed here, really grew, really developed, was a victim of the trade. I mean, they're better with Sabonis is better.
Yep.
And that can be true. And the style's a little different. I think he fit really well with Tyrese Halliburton. He had some good runs.
Should we grab the jersey?
We got an homage.
Should I grab the jersey? I'm going to grab the Richaun Holmes jersey
just out of respect. I mean, truly a great person, a fun teammate. And you know what? With Luka, I think that makes some sense. He's a rim runner, a lob guy. Richaun Holmes, good run as a Sacramento King. And if that then later parlays you into some flexible opportunity here, that's, I guess, why Monty and crew. And now, certainly Monty's going to have to explain this. He won't have the answers now. He'll have to do this all at the end of the draft. But I think this has just changed the Kings' offseason plan. Chris has made them a free agency player.
No, absolutely. This is a big changer. But I also want to continue your Richaun Holmes shout out, because that's really, Richaun is the exact kind of that's what you hope for with a free agent signing like Richaun Holmes. I mean, it's a massive success. You brought him in to be a backup center. He ended up proving himself more than worthy of starter minutes. I mean, and really was just an incredible value signing and gave great starter minutes. I'm never, ever, ever going to forget the Richaun Holmes push shot. I mean, it was a very real thing here in Sacramento. And I mean, Richaun was just a consummate professional through everything, even through going from a starter to going almost instantly to just on the bench. Just always carried himself as a pro. And, it's really unfortunate that, like you said, it just didn't work out for him last year. The fit wasn't there. But Dallas is a team where, Derek Lively is really their only other big that they can rely on. I think Richaun has a real opportunity to get minutes over there in Dallas. And I think it's a really good opportunity for him and a good move for the Kings as well. So I think in a way, this is kind of a win-win for the Kings and for Dallas as well, who we can't forget. Dallas is also getting Omax Prosper in this as well. And that's a really, really good pick for them.
So, additional note from Evan Sidri of Forbes. Not only do the Kings clear $30 million plus in cap space, they also have access to the full mid-level exception in free agency now.
How about that?
So they can be players in multiple things. Just quick, our own YouTube reaction. It's all over the place. Some love it. Some say it's stupid. Bad move, Monty. Others like it. Shout out and good luck to Richaun Holmes. To me, at the moment, I mean, it's all done in real time. My immediate reaction is it's incomplete.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like when you make a trade for a future pick, what's the future pick?
Exactly.
And we don't have, what do they fill this cap space with?
Exactly.
So it's also one of those things, if we were doing, your show, our show, a lot of times like, hey, let's get OG, but can you trade Richaun and the pick?
Right.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to be OG, but this is kind of that kind of trade. It's the pick. It's Richaun. What's the return? Now, I could hear some people like, if it's just Harrison Barnes, I'm not happy. I don't know. It's at this moment, we don't know what that return will be, but there is a very small pool of teams, Chris, that have free agency money.
Yeah. And that's the thing is the Kings are probably the best team that has money and cap space. And the Kings haven't been in that position in a very long time, if not ever. So it'll be interesting to see how many guys want to come over to this Kings team that seems to be a brand new culture. And what kind of guys are they going to look at? Are they going to look at those top end free agents, or are they going to try and spread the wealth and really build out some real depth? Will be interesting. And Jason, again, we were talking about it with 24. They have another pick coming up here pretty soon that they could again ship off and get something else, maybe even more cap relief. They can ship it off and get just trade it for a more veteran, experienced player. Or they can make the selection, and there's still tons of guys available. There's still tons of first-round talent out there, and also guys that can impact winning from day one, in my opinion. And I think that Sacramento is still in a really good spot to continue to build out what could be a good playoff team here pretty soon.
Let's get some more from another cap expert, Bobby Marks. Holmes has $12 million and $12.9 left on his contract. The second year is a player option. Holmes has a 15% trade kicker valued at $1.8 million. The bonus will be added to his $12 million salary in 23-24. Sacramento is responsible in paying that amount, but it does free themselves up some money here. So, again, incomplete at the moment, trying to figure out what is the next part of this.
Man, yeah, it's
stunner.
It is a big stunner because, again, like we really didn't hear much news. I'm going to move this Richaun jersey now so I can sit down. Appreciate it, Richaun. You were quite a soldier. It's really interesting because we did hear again almost immediately after the lottery happened. Jake Fisher dropped an article on Yahoo saying that the Kings were shopping 24, or one of the few teams that were shopping their later picks, and we really didn't hear much of anything about it since then. And to not really hear any grumblings of any of that happening until now is, again, just like we said with Toronto's pick. To me, it also speaks to, especially with this Sacramento Kings team that had a history of things leaking out here, it's really impressive that Monty is able to keep the decision-making process underneath that building.
The reality, I think, here is this, that we talked almost at the beginning of the show with what the Warriors did today, what Memphis did yesterday, what Phoenix has recently done, and Denver being the defending champs, the West is still very, very good. I think if the Kings had elected to keep this pick, and maybe Olivier turns out to be a very nice player, I don't know the answer to that, but I feel like from day one, let's assume they kept it and he played and he was on the roster. I think he's in the mix. I think he's in the rotation. I think they have potential with this free agency money to land a starter. Or more of an impact, like high 6th, 7th in the rotation, that is a difference maker. Now, again, Olivier could be the better player. I don't know the answer to that, but I think they could add potentially, fill in your name, whether that's Jeremy Grant, Middleton, Kuzma,
right?
Something like that. Harrison Barnes and someone else.
And as Kyle mentioned, you also get access to the full mid-level exception, which who they brought over with the mid-level exception last year. Malik Monk.
Right.
So you can still get that allows you to sign somebody who is a big contract, but also add on somebody who is deserving of, I think the mid-level is $12 million this year. So you can add multiple guys that should impact winning again almost immediately. And maybe Monty just felt like this team, why take a risk on a younger guy when you can maybe just get a more veteran guy who knows their role and doesn't necessarily you need to give developmental minutes to. The Kings again are in a position now where they're more looking for win now guys, and it appears like this is a move that reflects that as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to put them, officially over $30 million in the cap. So you're a player in free agency.
Absolutely. Again, and they're one of, if not the best team with money. And so I wonder how much that might entice somebody to come over, possibly, hopefully for a little bit cheaper than what you would traditionally take to get them over to Sacramento.
But also it gives you the flexibility. The deal is already done today, but a guy like Chris Paul, you could have technically just traded to get him.
Right.
Just get him on his $30 million contract.
Yeah.
And not give up a thing. Not that that's the player they were looking for, but it gives you that flexibility on almost like a JJ Redick. We want you 1 year, let's give a run at it, and then if it works, we'll re-sign you. If not, you're gone. And it's a lineup with Sabonis. So it's hard to see when you're expecting a name to. Like I keep seeing everybody. Well, guys, who's coming back at this moment? It doesn't look like there may be some other considerations, but it looks like it's basically more to free up cap space.
No, I think that this is the move before the move.
Yeah.
If you'll rock with me on that. I think that this is the thing that's going to set up what the Kings plan to do moving forward. And again, whether that be signing Kyle Kuzma or Jeremy Grant or making a move for OG Anunoby, this is just a good move for the Kings to not, cap themselves out and be able to build beyond just this next big move, because that was a big problem, when we're talking about going out and getting some of those bigger names that have been available in this past week is any move you're going to make, is that going to be it? Are you going to hamstring yourself moving forward from making moves? And I think that this is a step closer to just, again, being able to fill out the rest of your roster and not just have to really put your eggs all in one basket.
I don't know how much this was in motion. Let's do the walkthrough here. Let's say Chris Murray was on the board.
Sure.
He goes one pick. We talked about it in real time in 5 minutes. I mean, you have to have that move ready. And maybe this was in play all the time. But I mean, maybe Chris Murray was the board. Was the pick? Maybe.
Right. And maybe that set
it
over
goes
the top.
right before you. And it's like, all right, here's plan B. And I'm totally speculating. I don't have insight on that. But that could have been, and all we could do now is speculate. What if that's Draymond Green on their board?
That's interesting.
Kuzma on their board. I mean, I'm just throwing names that are free agents that where you're going, oh man, they didn't get Olivier or whoever, Bryce Sensabaugh, whoever you wanted. It sounds different when, wow, they added Draymond Green. Wow, they added Kyle Kuzma. Wow, they added Chris Middleton. Pick your player. I'm throwing out names, but
it's interesting, and we'll just have to wait and find out. I mean, it sucks that we don't know who this move is for now, but again, I just think that
we want answers.
This is for the betterment of the team, and that's what I can live with right now. Is at least at the moment. Again, the Kings still have 2 more picks, but this move was a good move in terms of building towards what the Kings want to get to next year. It would have been fun to have a name that we can gleam onto right now, but I think overall this is just a better move for this Kings team to acquire an even better talent than what they would have acquired at 24. Kind of like what you're saying, like if instead of saying, oh, the Kings get nothing, you can now know who it is that they're chasing. It just makes you feel a lot better. It's just right now we don't know what that move is, but I can guarantee you the Kings are going to do something now. They're not just, I don't think that they just open this up to run it back. So I would be surprised if this was a move that was made to bring back Harrison Barnes. I think that if anything, this signifies that the Kings are having somebody in mind that is going to be a high contract guy, and the Kings now know that they have the freedom and space to go out and get him, whoever that may be.
If I'm looking at this right, and I don't know, Kyle, if you have a chance in there, but Chris, I think I see the team with the most cap space is Houston at $48 million. Sacramento would be second. If I'm looking at this right, cap space. Pacers have about 12.8. Spurs, Pistons, Spurs and Pistons are in the 4 to 5 range. Like, there's not a lot of people with money, and the Kings would be the second biggest player and by far a better team than the Rockets. Do you have that same info?
So where you are correct is that in terms of dollars allocated to next year's team, only the Houston Rockets have less than the Sacramento Kings right now.
Yeah.
Also, the Sacramento Kings with this trade are tied for second in the league of fewest players signed to guaranteed contracts, sitting now at 8.
So they still have a lot of work in terms of filling out the rest of the roster.
And remember, they can sign their own players after the fact. That's Lyles. If it's Barnes, even if it's
Terrence Davis,
Alex Linder, free agent. Some of them may go. Metu, who knows? But again, I'm gonna Monty McNair so far in that front office has done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And
in Monty, I trust.
Yeah, it feels at the moment it feels incomplete. I see the path. I don't know what I want to know what's walking back down the path.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. I feel like I'm being led down the right road. I just want confirmation to know that the road I'm heading down is a good one. But I have faith that and that's all you can have right now, because I think we're going to learn soon, like in the next, probably before the league year starts and before free agency actually begins.
A week from tomorrow.
I would expect that we have some indication of what it is the Kings plan to do sometime soon. But as of right now, it's just a question of who it's going to be. But the Kings freeing up tons of cap space, Jimmy just says that they're going to go big game hunting for somebody, whether that's Draymond Green, whether that's Kyle Kuzma, whether that's OG Anunoby, is yet to be seen. But I think the Kings are definitely setting themselves up for a big swing here.
Yeah, I think so too. We are going to break the news. The Kings officially drafted Chris's guy. The moment, are you going to get the jersey of Olivier? How did he pronounce the middle name?
Masson Prosper.
Going to Dallas along with Richaun Holmes. Richaun, thank you for your time as a King. You were a great King. You will come back to Sacramento and get a great ovation that you deserve. But looks like those are the pieces moving. Kings are still, for the moment, picking at 38, picking at 54, but become the second most team, or the team with the second most amount of money in free agency now. So we'll see how that develops. We're going to go out to the practice facility, team facility, check with Frankie Cartoscelli when we come back. All our NBA draft coverage is brought to you by Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. Chris and I are back with more of our NBA draft special right after this on Sactown Sports.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Summertime is a great time to get your home evaluated for solar, and while you're at it, make sure your roof is in good shape for all seasons. Hey, Jason Ross here to tell you about ACR Solar and Home Services. Go to acrsolar.com to find out all the different things that they can provide for you. And while we're all watching utility costs go up, along with everything else, Why not make the most of the sunshine beating down on your roof? Harness that solar power and cut those rising utility bills while at the same time improving the value of your home. ACR Solar and Home Services makes it easy with a simple evaluation that'll show you just what it would take to get your home generating savings that help your bottom line and help protect the environment. So start now, and while you're there, ACR Solar and Home Services can make sure your roof is in prime condition. So just go to acrsolar.com and start your savings today. ACR Solar and Home Services, quality, value, and integrity since 1979.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Thunder, feel the thunder.
It ignites something inside of you.
Lightning and the thunder.
It's Thunder Valley's $20,000 20th anniversary cash giveaway. 5 winners on Friday and Saturday nights in June. One very lucky guest wins $20,000 guaranteed. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sactown Sports.
Again, thank you, everyone, to checking us out on our NBA Draft Special. He's Chris Watkins. I'm Jason Ross. We're brought to you by Power Business Technology for all your business office equipment needs. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. A lot of you are on our YouTube page. Thank you for taking the time. Lots of stuff going on there. We're trying to keep you up to date as much as possible. A lot of you there, hit that thumbs up button. And he gets a complex if you don't give him a thumbs up. Our guy, Frankie, I'm asking for him. Frankie wants the thumbs up button out there. Frankie is out at the Kings at Golden One Center at the practice facility. Frankie, Chris, and I were trying to process that in real time. I'm sure you are too. Your immediate reaction to what we've just learned the Kings have done.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for having me, guys. Great talking to you today. Happy draft night. It is certainly, you kind of have to take a second and soak it all the draft research that we all did.
Out the window.
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. I mean, and especially you get a little excited there when you see the names on the board and Chris Murray, Prosper. There are some guys that are available come into that 23rd pick. But, I think the one thing going into this offseason that the big question is, can the Kings bring in, acquire a legitimate talent, acquire a difference-making talent, and by moving Richaun Holmes and freeing up this cap space, this makes it a lot more likely the Kings can kind of get in these talks with some free agents here in the next week or so when free agency opens up. June 30th. The clock, free agency begins, and Sacramento Kings, by making this deal, they free up about $15 million in cap space for Richaun Holmes, a $12 million roster spot for next year. Then obviously the $3 million cap spot for the 24th pick are now free. So Kings free up cap space, and Richaun Holmes, who is, again, I think what shouldn't get lost in the shuffle here is Richaun Holmes was someone who was beloved here by the fan base for many years, 4 years he was here in Sacramento, and it's tough to see him go, but obviously you're happy to see him go to a new environment where he'll probably thrive in Dallas. You know, we'd like to see him do well. Obviously, Kings that move on, love to see him do well, but right now, the Kings have some big questions starting next week. Well, who are they going to go after? You have Draymond Green out there, Cam Johnson, Josh Hart. There's just names out there, Kyle Kuzma. So mine's racing, guys. Mine's racing. A lot of possibilities coming from this. But, yeah, we're moving on to seeing what they can do with this cap space.
Frankie, I know how those media draft parties go, and it's just all the media people sitting around in a circle and trying to guess what's going to happen next, and waiting for someone to hear something. At what point there, if there was no point, what was there a point where people started to kind of move around, and was there any indication over there from the media side of things that this was happening, or did this kind of surprise everybody in that room?
I think we're all throwing names around and talking about possibilities and whatnot, and in my mind, as soon as Chris Murray came off the board, this thought came into my mind just as far as it's unconfirmed if Chris was the guy the Kings are targeting. Obviously, I think there was a mutual interest there. And there are other players too. I think Leonard Miller was the guy. The consensus among us at that media table just now was Leonard Miller was someone who was very impressive in the G League. But I think one thing that this deal kind of brings it into perspective, really, and I think you and I talked about it, Chris, on the show yesterday, was that I think the Kings never really going to bring in a project. And by project, I mean a player that's young. And obviously, players can come in the NBA and make an impact at 18, 19. It's happened before, but the Sacramento Kings at this point, they're not in a similar spot where they were a year or two ago. They want to bring guys in that are established, and I think the prediction in my mind was they were going to bring someone in that was going to be age 21 or older. I mean, Max Lewis is a guy that we were talking about, Bryce Sensabaugh, Chris Murray, obviously, and down the board. I mean, I know that Trace Jack Davis is someone who, to my knowledge, since I got this phone call, is still available.
Yes,
as the Kings get closer to 38. Yeah, so I think that getting a player that's established and mature that can fit in with this current age group of the core, I think that's important to this group. And now you can do that in other ways. You don't have to bring in a draft pick that's a rookie. You can go out there and try to acquire someone who's established and a veteran. And for a team like the Kings, who has had a very impressive season, a season where they made it to Game 7 of the first round against a dynasty Golden State Warriors team, you saw the holes. And there's a lot of good wings, a lot of good forwards in the free agent market this summer. Obviously, the Harrison Barnes, that decision is going to be looming large in the opening hours of free agency on June 30th. But this move, the more time that goes by, the more I think the inner Kings fan that grew up inside of me is excited because this team has money. They have money to use now, and that wasn't really the case about 20, 30 minutes ago. So the things can change quick, and Monty McNair he made a big move here.
Frankie Cartoscelli joining us. You can read Frankie's work, too, all the time at SactownSports.com. Frankie, I think the logical part of what you're saying, what Chris is saying, what I've been saying is, and by the way, under the free agency money side, only Houston has more available than the Sacramento Kings right now. But the other offshoot of this, I mean, the logic is to look at free agency. But, guys, they can get a player. They don't have to go through free agency. They can now trade for a player, much like we saw Bradley Beal acquired, much like we've seen some of these stars being moved and not give up because they've got the space, not give up as many assets. Maybe it's a big-time player coming over along with a contract backed by the Kings. So I think it's probably the free agency route, but I think it has opened up multiple doors here, Frankie, for Monty and the front office to even explore a potential star from another team.
Yeah, and that's just simply they just weren't in that position. I think that thought process, Jason, I don't think we could even put ourselves in that position because the Kings, they didn't have much cap space coming into tonight. They really, obviously, $15 million, it might not sound like a lot in general cap space in one night, but clearing that in one night is pretty incredible as far as the Kings. I can't remember the last time the Kings have shed this much salary. I think we have to go back to the awful trade in 2015 that sent Jason Thompson to the 76ers and the pick swap, that whole thing that went down. I think this might be the biggest salary, quote-unquote, dump that the Kings have made. And, yeah, this doesn't impact their immediate future. Obviously, I think Prosper is someone who I think we all, Chris and I talked about him as well, a player that I would have fully been okay with him coming to the Kings. I think, as far as being a defensive wing, he fits the bill. But I think cap space is so valuable, and we've seen what kind of moves can happen in the NBA. But there seems to be these eyebrow-raising moves every night before free agency even begins. Chris Paul going to the Golden State Warriors. That was not on my bingo card. Bradley Beal to the Suns. The Kings can now get involved in some of these big deals here that are going down and make a move that can really upgrade one of their forward spots. And that is, to me, the biggest thing that that fans should keep an eye on. How will they fill that small forward/power forward spot? There's always a possibility that Keegan Murray can slide over and play the three. Is that something that's in the plans? I'm not sure, but there is no shortage of forwards out there. And the one that comes to my mind, and I know this is a very polarizing topic, but Draymond Green and Mike Brown are very tight. And with the move that the Warriors made today, you just have to wonder. I mean, Jordan Poole's gone, sure. I don't think it was as simple as a pick-em Jordan Poole or Draymond. There's a possibility Draymond Green overplayed his hand, and now the Golden State's brought in Chris Paul. It brings up a bunch of lineup questions. Are you going to bring Chris Paul off the bench? I mean, I just don't know if that's a possibility. But if the Kings want to try to lure a big fish, maybe Mike Brown gives a call to Draymond as soon as free agency opens up, and we see what happens. But that wasn't a possibility 30 minutes ago. That wasn't even on the Kings' radar, I'm sure, as far as bringing in that kind of money. But this opens a bunch of doors that previously were closed.
Yeah, and I'm on record, Frankie. You know this. I would not be upset at a Draymond Green coming over here at Sacramento. As we currently stand right now, the first round is about to come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers are on the clock with the last pick in the first round. Frank, the Kings, the night's not over. They have another pick coming up here at 38. What are some names that you're looking out for that you're hoping are still available for the Kings at 38? I guess now we have to add the caveat if they make that selection.
Yeah, I mean, the name that sticks out to me first and foremost, Trace Davis. I think he's someone that we also talked about here at the media table,
yes,
and the local media brains we were all pretty much in agreement that it wouldn't have been a crazy thing if they took him at 24. I think we kind of thought that wouldn't have been that much of a stretch, and he is someone that can fit in the same mold as Sabonis as far as he can pass the basketball. He's a rebound guy. He plays physical. There's the potential to have him be a mid-range to outside shooter at the NBA level. He wasn't that in college. I don't think he made a three-pointer, but he did show range as far as the two-point field goals. That perspective goes, but definitely a big body, someone that can come in and make a difference. Again, the Kings got bullied so much in the playoffs on the boards, and I think if they are going to look and draft someone at that 38 spot, it needs to be someone that can bring that physicality. They really lack that physicality, and later on in the draft, I think one of the names that Kings fans are really talking about is Amani Bates. He's someone I think is a very raw prospect, someone who was very a highly touted prospect coming out of high school. I think he was number 2 prospect in the country, if I'm not mistaken. But someone who isn't really a great defensive player, but a shot maker, a tough shot maker. I think our podcast, Chris, and whether it be on the show or whatnot, we've talked about how the Kings, they really could use a shot maker, a tough, and that's what kind of the type of player Bryce Sensabaugh was from Ohio State. I think he just got drafted a few picks ago, but drafting someone like that, I think at 38 or 54, I think you have a little more wiggle room with someone like we talked about. The project players can kind of come later in the draft. And Chris, I think we said just the other day too, the Kings, I can't remember the last time they've hit on a second round pick. And by hit, I mean, I think we said, Chris, we need to get something. If the Kings can get just something from a second round pick, that's a win. And I mean, obviously last year, the Jaden Hardy pick, that's still lingering, I'm sure, over Kings fans' heads. But if you can get just a player that can come in and be a role player, a glue type guy, that'd be a win for this team. And Monty McNair has drafted well previously. I mean, I don't think he's had many second round picks. He didn't select Sasha Vezenkov, but he pulled the trade off for him last year. And so we can kind of count that as if you want to count that. But seeing him hit gold on a second round pick, that's something I wouldn't mind seeing this summer.
Well, Frankie, I know there's more to happen out there. That 38th pick, 54th pick, like Chris said, pending the Kings make that selection. You can go to SactownSports.com. Frankie's already got something up quickly about Richaun Holmes and this 24th pick moving to Dallas. I know you're going to have more from Monty out there as well. Frankie, thanks for joining us. I know we'll be talking to you soon, and enjoy the second round.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, we'll see what else happens tonight, but it's been a ride so far.
Frankie,
so,
make sure
talk to you guys soon.
Make sure that Brendan eats some vegetables for me.
Yeah, mix those in.
He turned down a salad. He turned down a salad.
So
he went straight for the taco stuff, and he didn't want any salad.
Tacos.
They have some fruit. They have some fruit cups out. So maybe I'll go try to give him some fruit cups. Maybe I'll feed him or something.
Please,
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
He's got another round to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long night.
Chris, they're keeping those cookies coming, though.
Oh,
Yes.
I love to hear that.
The hot dogs are coming at 8 o'clock, too. I gotta get my hot dog. You guys pay me for my hot dog.
All right.
We're coming over soon.
Get them off. Yeah, we'll be there soon.
Thanks, Frankie.
Bye, guys.
All right. Frankie Cartoscelli, again, to recap just quickly before we go to break. Chris and I have much more to get to. The Kings did make a pick. They've already moved it, the 24th pick, and Richaun Holmes to Dallas, freeing up a considerable amount of cap space. The Kings now can be players in free agency, much bigger players, and or just a whopper of a trade if they'd like to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, the key is they're going to go big game hunting, or at least they have the capabilities.
Seemingly.
They have the capabilities of spending some money and really rounding out this roster. But as Kyle mentioned earlier, they also have the fewest amount of actual signed players to the roster. So maybe even some depth coming into Sacramento. But I definitely like the move of freeing up Richaun Holmes' money. It's unfortunate that you had to tie a first-round pick in order to do it, but it had to be done, and I think it's going to be better for the longevity of this team.
Yeah, second round is going to be underway. The last pick of the first round was Kobe Brown going to the Clippers, so the Kings are about 8 picks away. We will have that, and their other pick in the second round is our final portion of the NBA draft coverage continues. Keep it locked here. We got so much more to get to here on Sactown Sports.
The King season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
It's probably one of the best starting points I could have had, starting in the NBA, Sacramento.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Hey, kids, it's Carmichael Dave from my good friends at Fire Wings, the perfect fast casual eating establishment for the entire family. A great place to enjoy all the ball games from all around the country with 21 delicious flavors to choose from. Bone in, bone out. For more convenience, order online. Go to firewings.com. Find a location near you. Grab that order online and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you. Fire Wings. Hey, just wing it.
Greetings from M&S Auto on El Camino, just off the Cap City Freeway. And a big thanks to our repeat customers for letting us be your favorite car dealer. Repeat customers make us proud. M&S customers know that they're going to find the car, 4x4, or SUV they want. They'll get treated like family and save thousands. Whether you're a repeat customer or a first-time buyer, welcome. M&S Auto, the intelligent car buying experience. MSAutogroup.com.
Dawn or dusk, I'm on the hunt. Skeeter here, Sacramento Yellow Mosquito and Vector Control District, and I'm wearing Skeeter Vision, night vision goggles that light up skeeters at dawn or dusk like the 4th of July. Mosquito, 12 o'clock. Got him. So fight the bite by wearing long sleeves and pants at dawn or dusk when they're most active. Apply insect repellent and drain stagnant water. It's a breeding ground.
Dawn or dusk, the Sacramento Yolo Mosquito and Vector Control District reminds you to fight the bite. For more information or to report problems, go to fightthebite.net.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but it's been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento, and I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 74 years. Look for made in America brands like Stanton, Sam Moore, Stickley, Hilltop Hickory, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sale event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
The Gold Rush Classic takes place July 13th and 14th in Rancho Murrieta. Come join the fun and play golf with a celebrity, or just check out the concert. The Gold Rush Classic, where the stars and guitars shine. For more info, go to goldrushclassic.org.
Sacramento is trading center Richaun Holmes and the 24th pick to Dallas. This is the Mavericks picking now at 24.
With the 24th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Olivier Maxence Prosper from Montreal, Canada.
Max Holmes?
Max Holmes?
I love that.
I would have really liked that on the team. I will say, and I've been saying this all week long, the happiest person in Sacramento right now, Scott Moak, because he does not have to say Olivier Masson's.
Oh, he would have fun with that.
He would have had fun with it, but that's a mouthful to try and figure out.
I don't know. It was yesterday. I was on with Jay Johnson. We were trying to get clarity on if the Kings drafted Chris Murray, and Frankie just was with us. We all kind of speculated on that question, like maybe he was the pick. We don't know, but he went right before the Kings, and whether they pivoted, whether this was the plan all along. I'm really warming up to the plan, but I want to see what the return is. But I asked Moak, I said, look, we got the Keegan Murray. We know what that is. I said, is there a plan? And he goes, yeah, he wasn't doing anything. He was going to do it. He said his text to me was he was going to do it like Chris Webber. Where he would go, Chris Webber. So it'd be Chris Murray. And it just wouldn't have been. It just would have been different.
Yeah, we talked with Moak quite a bit last year about those kind of things. Yeah. I mean, he told us that, it was in the works for years. Like after the success of the Yogi Fair, they were looking for anybody to do it with. And it really was just a coincidence that it's Keegan Murray is 2 syllables, and it worked out. And it turned into one of the coolest things just another cool thing that the Kings did last year. And again, probably the coolest chant in basketball right now, just in terms of
awesome
team and fan connection. It's awesome.
Well, we're to the second round now. Mark Tatum takes over.
Steps to the plate.
NBA, what is he? Deputy commissioner.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear the beginning of the draft. They used to always boo Stern. Do they boo Silver now?
I wonder if they do.
I didn't hear
don't
at the beginning.
think so, but
Stern ate that up.
I mean, yeah, he loved it. He was better than everybody else.
That's
Roger
all
Goodell,
you got?
Yeah, Roger Goodell gets booed and
tries to ignore it.
He hates. Everyone knows that he hates him. He knows everyone hates him. David Stern was more like, yes, like you're saying, like, yes, turn it up, turn up the volume.
Is that your David Stern?
Yes, it's I've been hanging out with Whitey too much. That's the problem.
He's good.
He's so really good at it.
So do we have to come up with a Olivier Maxwell? And it wouldn't have worked, right? No chance.
That's the only reason they didn't take him.
I feel like you had something there though. That was kind of like
singing. We're all singing. Oh, okay.
Olivier Maxwell.
Would he have just been OMP?
OMP is probably that's really good. I
Just
was
to be
Max, like you can really hammer. Oh Max.
Yeah. Moak would have done that. And Moak's so good.
Moak's the greatest.
He is so good.
He's really good.
Round 2 is underway. A guy I think the Kings were looking at, I believe. I don't know. James Nagy goes to the first pick to Detroit. So it's Indiana, San Antonio, Charlotte, Boston, Orlando. There actually is some movement in there.
Quick update. Right? So James Nagy was picked by Detroit, but he is going to Charlotte. They flipped pick 31 and 34.
Okay.
Oh boy. It feels like we're getting into the complicated portion of tonight's season.
Yes.
Yeah, they traded pick 31, which was James Nagy, to Charlotte. Detroit gets pick 34 and 39.
And wait, the Lakers they went to 40. They jumped in earlier today, the Denver spot, I believe, but that was behind the Kings. So yeah, Kings are still, as the moment, picking at 38. That's from Indiana.
Yes. And Jalen Pickett just announced is going 32. So
we're moving.
Speaking of
moving.
Indiana, remember when we were dumping on the Lakers for picking the guy from Indiana whose name I'm blanking on?
Yes, Shafino.
What if the Kings take his college teammate?
Trace Jackson Davis, I would love it. That's
He's coming up
at this point. And Frankie mentioned it when we asked him at the end there. That's the guy that I'm looking at right now. That's the one that I feel like is just a great fit. And
is Leonard Miller still there too?
Leonard Miller is still on the board, as is CD Sissoko, who's a really big a long, versatile prospect, as is Maxwell Lewis, who is a name who a lot of people are high on, and I know Doug Christie is probably high on, as he's a fellow Pepperdine guy. I know that is true. We could have 3 Pepperdine guys.
I think
that might be too much. There should be.
Yeah.
There's way too much Pepperdine in one building. Can't have that much Pepperdine. You never go too Pepperdine. That's what they all say.
Well, let's do. Kings are a couple picks away, Chris. Let's be irresponsible and do some speculation on free agency because that's the immediacy of what we can think the Kings are doing here. I still say they can be a player in a trade to get, they don't have to do this through free agency, but let's throw out some names. Frankie brought up Draymond Green. I mean, you can kind of go for a big fish. You can maybe hit a couple of targets. Like, is it possible with that money? Could you possibly land, let's say, Brook Lopez and Kyle Kuzma? Do you not have enough there?
I wonder. It's a matter. I mean, the tough thing is we just don't know what people's value is. I mean, I saw a report yesterday. Kyle Kuzma is going to seek $30 million. We'll see about that. We'll see what he actually garners. I would suspect Kyle Kuzma be anywhere from as low as 20 million to as high as 25. And Brook Lopez, I hope that Brook Lopez is going to go somewhere near 15 to 18, maybe 20 million, but especially because he's 36, about to be 37. But coming off the season he had, I think that there's potential that Brook Lopez could absolutely get bagged out. But I'm hoping that, I mean, I would love to me, Brook Lopez is the perfect guy for Sacramento to bring over. Just a really big body, can stretch the floor, was obviously second place in Defensive Player of the Year last year, can protect the rim. But also at age 37 and a veteran in this league, really knows his role. And I think would be someone who might be a little bit more willing to, on a given night, maybe not finish games because, maybe they don't necessarily need his size. So Brook Lopez is definitely a guy that I'm a big fan of and have been for a really long time. But I would like to see the Kings really spend that money on a forward, whoever that may be. I would prefer not to bag out Kuzma 35 million, or 25 million. But if that's what the going rate is, I mean, you might just have to do that.
I like Kuzma, but I feel like if you're getting a combination of two players that are less, that might give you more. Like, for example, okay, maybe Lopez. I don't know if Lopez how much he'll cost. He's nearing the end of his career. Jakob Poeltl, Naz Reid, Mason Plumlee, Thomas Bryant, Drummond. Even I don't know. These are Jake Lawndale. These are guys that, especially when I don't think they're going to keep Alex Len.
Yeah.
You did lose Richaun Holmes. Jackson Hayes, he's a decent athlete, but I mean, I don't think they're breaking the bank, and that's not what feels like 30 million is. But then do you get, a Lopez and a Bruce Brown? Is it? I don't know.
And then with the mid-level exception, do you bring back Trey Lyles, and then you get three wider?
And Sasha comes over, and then it's like, okay, that's. I mean, to our point, we discussed in the break, they technically at the moment have 6 players signed.
Yeah.
Technically.
They need to use that money to round things out. To me, I mean, it sounds nice to go big game hunting, but the reality of it is when you only have 6 guys, that's not including Kessler Edwards, who does have a player option. So I guess you can consider that 7, as we assume the Kings will pick that up. But they have to fill out the roster, and so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we say they go big game hunting, but I would not be surprised if they diversify their assets and really try and fill out depth, because honestly at the end of the day, depth is what can win you a series as well. And just positional versatility and the ability to throw out different looks at different times, to me that could be just as valuable as getting a guy like Kyle Kuzma, just by essentially running by depth by committee. I think that's definitely an angle that the Kings can take here.
By the way, I mentioned Leonard Miller. He just went at 33. So the Kings are a few picks away from selecting. But back to a few more free agents. So you said the position you think, and this is where it's difficult: power forward, small forward, either one, right?
I would prefer small forward. Okay. I think that they really need somebody who can, who's athletic enough to keep up with guys, because to me, Keegan Murray and Harrison Barnes are probably 2 of the slower small forwards or forwards in this league. And I just would prefer a little bit more athleticism and defensive prowess with a backup forward, especially if there are other options. If they bring back Trey Lyles and bring over Sasha, they just really don't have any defensive minded backup 4 or backup 3 even. And, I think that that's a position that the Kings have really lacked, is just depth at that position in general for a really long time. I mean, even when they have guys like Rudy Gay, they just don't really have many other guys to supplement him as well. And to me, that forward, that 3-4 spot is the most important position in basketball, just because you can get a guy who does a little bit of everything, but also provides some size.
All right, let me read some names. Small forward free agent list. Chris Middleton, who just backed out of a $40 million deal after a rough season.
That. Yeah, I think the $40 million is the scary part.
I also feel like he has some sort of certainty that he knows, like someone's, maybe it's Milwaukee.
I think it's Milwaukee. Yeah.
Going to guarantee him $100 million,
something like that. Even if it's 3 years or whatever. Okay, Josh Hart.
Hey, how about this? Kobe Jones was selected by the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are trading Kobe Jones to the Kings for the 38th pick in a future second rounder. Okay. So the Sacramento Kings move up from 38 up to 34 and select Kobe Jones, who is the combo guard. Monty McNair continues to stick with what he knows best and goes with a guy who is, I believe, a junior, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, a junior coming out of Xavier, listed as a wing. He's 6'5", and the pick is just officially in right now. Kobe
which
Jones.
is listed as Charlotte's, but that ended up as Boston and one of those other. I mean, there's so much movement here.
Impossible.
Yeah, I know Frankie did a profile on him on
Mhm.
Sactown Sports, and we talked about him a little bit on the morning show.
Yeah, he's 21 years old,
Yeah.
listed at 6'5", has a 6'8" wingspan, averaged 15 points per game last year. Here's the thing, 37.8% from three on 3.3 attempts last year from three. So is somebody who can shoot, 4.4 assists on 2.3 turnovers. So a pretty decent assist to turnover ratio, 1.3 steals per game last year. So hopefully somebody who can bring some defensive upside as well. But comes in as an offensive weapon for the Kings and is really interesting here because he like I said, he's kind of a wing spot, 6'5".
Yeah.
I wonder if what their plans are for him. I wonder if they're viewing him more as a 3 than a 2.
Yeah.
But just interesting pick there. But I really like the talent that they just acquired at 34 here. Kobe Jones now moving to the Kings.
I'm looking at the bio here, some other stuff written about him. He was in the league in their conference. He was the small forward of the year. So that's interesting that he had that in the Big East. His older brother CJ plays professionally in Europe. His father played basketball at University of Alabama, Birmingham. Let's see. He was a teammate of Portland Trailblazer forward at Trenton Watford in high school. Plays the saxophone in high school.
Hey.
Here's what his head coach, Sean Miller, said, quote, "He embodies the qualities that you want in a team. He does everything. He takes pride in defense. He rebounds the ball. He's very unselfish on offense. His overall well-roundedness is what makes him such a good player." He actually is one of the players I did watch a video of before the draft because I thought he would be in the Kings general area. He really looked like, I don't know how else to say this, but he looked like a king. I mean,
that's
what
really
we saw
interesting.
last year's style, like when I watched him, I went, nothing jumped out where I went like, wow.
Yeah.
But I went, I go, yeah, I could see it. I could see his fit. Now, I didn't know that would be an area that they would target, because I felt like he was a combo guard, more of what the video I saw. But, he could closer to 6'6", maybe play some small forward, but looked like it was a team concept guy.
Definitely.
Like Sabonis is very much a cheerleader. Like he was very much a high five, like, good job, Chris. Kyle, way to go. Like it was someone I think you want to be your teammate, but also, can play. So it's not like you're, so that looks like the move.
Yeah. And I love that quote from Sean Miller. He embodies the qualities that you want in a team. Like he's the kind of guy, he seems like a very coachable guy. You mentioned just the kind of guy that does what's necessary for winning. And I'm looking at his college stats right now. Last season, 15 points per game, really impressive. 5.7 assists, 5.7 rebounds. Love to see that. But his sophomore season, 11.6 points per game. How about this? 7.3 rebounds his sophomore year as a guard.
Yeah.
That's
like
really
Josh Hart,
impressive.
like a rebounding guard.
That's exactly the kind of guy that I see this as a Josh Hart kind of mold. I really, really like just the tenacity that he brings. And I'm looking also at Kevin O'Connor's Ringer draft board. And one of the qualities that he has in Kobe Jones, got that dog in him. So that's really good to see. Just a guy who really seems to be a winning basketball player. And that's really, again, the older veteran guys I felt like Monty was going to lean towards in this draft, but just seems like a guy who's ready to contribute to winning right now, a la Christian Brown, like we just saw in the NBA Finals.
So as you heard Chris mention, it looks like the reports are the Kings have traded for Kobe Jones, which is a pick by Charlotte, which might be via Boston. It's kind of convoluted there. Let's go to our guy, Bob Gerald, Hoop Obsession, his write-up on him. By the way, Chris, he had him.
Oh, please tell me he had him high, because if Bobby Gerald isn't high on him, then I'm scared.
He had him 27th. So picked above
this. That's a value pick then.
Yeah. And again, this is second round at 34. The Kings will no longer be picking 38. His write-up, Jones, was another one of our favorites to watch play this last season. He's strong, no-nonsense guard that already carries himself like a pro. He averaged 15 points, nearly 6 boards, 4.5 assists per game. We mentioned some of these numbers earlier. Shot 38% from beyond the arc, but his free throw shooting was below average at 65.3, so he believes that can come up. He had a 1.88 to 1 assist to turnover ratio, raised his field goal percentage each season, topping out at nearly 51% this year. He's a team player that will fit seamlessly into whatever role he is given.
Love that.
That said, Jones could use a little more aggression in his offensive game. He was a bit passive at times. He has a 6'8" wingspan. He's right-handed. Like some of his defensive metrics, he had a 35-inch max vert at the combine, and we believe that Jones will be selected late in round 1 of the draft. We view him as a potential low-tier starter in the NBA. Now, again, this was a second-round selection.
Right.
So
seems like a good pick. And if you can get borderline starter quality guy at number 20, at number 34, to me, that's the kind of thing that the Kings need to do, is just being able to find value. And also, if you want to look a little bit ahead to the future here, it gives you some versatility in the sense of Malik Monk's contract is up at the end of next year. And if a guy like Kobe Jones shows some promise, it might give you a different out in order to, if Malik Monk gets a little bit too pricey, maybe you could even, and this is forecasting a bit, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but, maybe if Kobe Jones looks really good in his rookie season, you feel comfortable moving on from a guy like Malik Monk and maybe potentially getting something from him as well.
Yeah, and if you look at the pattern so far, as we mentioned, the first-round pick was made, but already dealt with Richaun Holmes to Dallas. That's freed up a bunch of money where it feels like they could swing for a current free agent or a player from another team. And then if you look at the trade now to get Colby Jones, that looks like a guy that we said, like, hey, fit into the roster, fit into the rotation. We know Delly's gone. I don't know that they'll re-sign Terrence Davis. You assume that Fox, Monk, Herter, and Mitchell are back, but there's another guy that can maybe slide there, hit another forward spot. He's experienced. It fits the Monty DNA of a draft choice for sure. And again, this is in the second round. You're not asked to. It's not Keegan at 4 that you got to get it right. It's like you want to get it right, but you hope he makes an impact.
Yeah, and also to forecast a little, this is a guy that I'd be really excited to see in summer league, because this is the
play him everywhere.
Exactly, and that's what I want to see, is just the tenacity that he brings. How versatile is he out on the floor, and he seems like the kind of guy who even in summer league is going to be diving on the ball and just looking to make winning plays. And I'm excited to see. We don't have to wait too long. The California Classic is kicking off in a couple weeks here. Can't wait for that to get kicked off, as we're going to see 1 and 2 as well in the California Classic. Now. Jeez.
This is weird. I mean, just, you kind of have a plan. You think the way it's going to go. I thought the Kings might move 24, but then, when you get to 24 and they're there, it's like, well, I guess they're picking, and then that's a trade they make. Then it feels like, well, they're going to pick at 38.
Yeah.
They move up to 34. They get Colby Jones. As of now, they still have 54.
Yeah.
But
who knows?
We'll see if they never pick from their original slot at all.
I would love to see them move back up and take Trace Jackson Davis. I just think that that's a really, really good fit for this team. And to me, if they can, maybe just ship off a couple second-round picks and move back into this draft, to me, it's almost a perfect night. If the Kings can free cap space, get off Richaun Holmes' contract, bring in 2 potential guys who can be some day one role players, to me, this is really shaping up to be a really, really good night from the Sacramento Kings and Monty McNair.
All right, we've got more to get to. He's Chris Watkins. I'm Jason Ross. Our draft coverage is brought to you by our friends at Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-PC or go to powercopiers.com. Again, all of you on our YouTube, thank you so much for taking the time to be there. Hit that thumbs up button while you are here. We are back with more thoughts on this, more on the Kings, what we think will be their last pick of this draft, as our draft coverage continues right here on Sactown Sports.
The King season might be over, but Sactown Sports coverage never stops.
Returning is honestly my number one priority. Be a part of something special.
Stay tuned all off season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Being a letter carrier and walking 20,000 steps, which equals up to about 10 miles a day, it's tough. I really didn't have feet problems. I had back problems. I had had as many epidurals that I could possibly have in 1 year. That was scary. Well, I'd been delivering letters to the Good Feet store for over 6 years, and the expert there finally convinced me to try their arch supports.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Keith actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
The people at the Good Feet store really educated me about what the arch supports could actually do. And lo and behold, I have no more back problems. The future I can see now. I couldn't see it before. Where I would be without them, I have no clue. I'm Keith, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kent Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kent Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Hey, Scott, you look great.
Yeah, I'm feeling good and have a new job.
No, there's something different about the way you look.
To be honest, a few months ago, I had an amazing robotic hair transplant procedure at XL Medicine. It's called the artist procedure.
No way. Your hair looks completely natural, and you don't even have a scar. How did they do that?
Dude, the artist system is amazing. I have this fantastic hairline, and I'm happy with my results. XL Medicine could probably help you too, buddy.
Using the artist procedure, Dr. Singh and Dr. Graywall can target and harvest healthy hair follicles with micron-level accuracy from the back of your head and transplant them where you need it. The procedure is painless, and you'll be back doing your regular activities in a couple of days. Ask Dr. Singh and Dr. Graywall at XL Medicine about the artist procedure. Call today, 916-932-4470. That's 932-4470 for a complimentary in-person or Zoom consultation, or on the web at xlmedicine.com. That's EXCEL medicine.com. See what the artist procedure can do for you.
These are actors and not real patients.
We know you love your sports, but when you're looking for country music, make sure you dial up 105.1. I'm just a guy with a gun. And get commercial-free New Country all day. She got the best of me. New Country 105.1.
Select Colby Jones from Xavier University.
Well, via trade, the newest King is Colby Jones in the second round. The Kings are technically on the clock right now at 38, but remember, as Chris said in our last segment, Kings made a little switcheroo and selected, I guess was it Charlotte or was it Boston? I still don't know who
So
had that pick.
Boston selected it, but they got it from Charlotte.
Got it.
And so Charlotte
And then moved it
technically
to the
selected it, but it was also technically Boston's to trade.
So
to
this
Sacramento.
38th pick, which is on the board, the Kings is going to Charlotte?
Boston.
Boston.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And Boston gets a future second-round pick from the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, they do?
Oh.
Yes, as part
Now
of the deal.
I hate it.
Yep. Worst trade ever.
What year? 2064.
Oh, my God.
Undetermined right now. It's just a future second-round pick to move up from 38 to 34.
Bye-bye, Bronny the Third.
Yeah, chances were right there.
Mm.
We almost got Chris Murray. We almost had Bronny the Third. Wow,
Draft
what a
night.
day! I love the draft.
It's so great.
It's to
so
me, it's
good.
my favorite. I mean, baseball's too much, too convoluted. NFL takes 8 weeks.
4 days, yeah. No, this NBA draft is by far the best draft of all of them. You get to knock it out quickly. They also, it's only 5 minutes in the first round, 2 minutes for
Yeah.
the second
Let's
round.
go.
It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You guys had months to prepare for this. We know it doesn't take that long. We're going to speed it up.
Especially the Spurs, they took the full time. Come
Right.
on, with Victor.
Come on,
Unless
guys.
you were really debating the Bucks are going, we'll give you Giannis. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
we're
Well,
gonna take it to
maybe,
the last minute.
but
Yeah.
nobody was giving you that. So just take
make
Victor.
the pick. Yeah, come on. We know what it is.
Yeah, Victor Wembanyama at number 1, Brandon Miller, then Scoot Henderson. The Thompson twins, that'll be fun. They went 4-5. Feels like the draft kind of shifts then, but, there's going to be someone that will produce and someone that will underproduce. The Kings were picking at 24. They took Chris's pick. That was the guy you wanted them to take.
It was.
But they moved off from OMP Olivier
Masson.
Prosper, sending him to Dallas along with Richaun Holmes. If you're just joining us late, basically, what do the Kings get back, guys? Cap space.
Yep, cap space.
And it's not cash considerations.
Yeah, it's not
it's
cash
cap
considerations.
space.
That's
Yeah.
at least a positive. It's not our good old friend cash considerations.
It's a salary dump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with the chance to be a huge player in free agency and or trades. And Chris, you made a great point in the break that look, the calendar year for the NBA calendar season is ending next week. Basically, free agency starts Friday.
July 1st.
But we are hearing about rumors and rumors and rumors. Let's take Damian Lillard, for example. I don't know if he's going to stay or not, but that's a tough trade to make, honestly, and they might need a third team. Maybe the Kings aren't even interested in Lillard, but it's Miami, and it's like, we kind of need a third team. Well, guess who's available here?
those folks in Sacramento have a lot of cap space and not a lot of players, so they can take on a lot.
And they're not just trying to take on junk.
No,
I mean, they can
absolutely not.
They can be like, no, we're not interested in any of that. Or, we're definitely interested in that player. We will help you out.
Yeah,
but we need this player, and so they can take on money. They certainly can be a free agent player, and if this was the plan all along, then I'm sure they've got a pretty short list of people they're targeting.
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm trying to figure out did Jordan Walsh just go? This was
another guy you like.
This was the guy. Oh, he did. Jordan Walsh. Wow.
Technically a King. You're two guys
Jason
you wanted.
Ross, this is so sad.
So now, if at 54, who was another one you wanted? Amani Bates?
Amani Bates,
if he goes at 54, yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is
your draft.
This could be an incredible draft for Chris Watkins as a Sacramento Kings potential fan.
In a world where the Kings hadn't traded that pick, ESPN would have cut out of coverage right as the pick was being made, because not only did they do it in a commercial break, it was a local commercial break, so they didn't even have the ESPN bottom on the screen when Jordan Walsh got picked.
Oh, jeez. So we're now up to 39. We're past the Kings pick. It's to Charlotte. Their selection apparently is in as well. So let's hear let's find out what they're going to do here. Oh, someone that was actually there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How about that? Someone who's actually in the building.
Is that like Giannis that's sitting in the stands?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, he's a second round pick, 39,
Muhammad.
like picked
from
pretty,
Washington State.
Yeah, from Washington State.
Is it Gouye?
It is it Gouye? It is Muhammad Gay.
Okay.
Muhammad Gay. 6'11".
I think our guy Colby Jones was at the draft too. I'm not 100% sure on that.
No, I saw a video of him finding out he got traded. He was at home or in some sort of hall.
Well, let's learn a little bit more. We read about Colby Jones. We gave some stats, some numbers. This is from his draft preview workout with the Indiana Pacers. Here's some audio from the newest King now, Colby Jones.
Cool go today. It went good. It was a highly competitive, great energy, and a lot of great guys in the workouts, but it went really good. What are you hoping to show teams during this process? Just my defensive versatility, being able to guard different players on this court, and just my overall game on offense, just facilitating, making winning plays, and just all those hustle plays. You mentioned your versatility. Given the skill set you have on both sides of the ball, do you feel like you could fit a number of different roles for an NBA team? Yeah, I do. I feel like that's why I've been trying to show in these workouts to one of these different teams. I'm just really showcasing how I can fit in different scenarios and different game styles. Where do you think your game grew the most during your time at Xavier? I feel like really just my outside game, just whether that be three-point shooting or handling the ball. I feel like the coaches there did a great job of developing in me, and I thought it went really good. You had the opportunity to play for Sean Miller last year. Yeah. I know he coached T.J. McConnell when he was at Arizona. Yeah. What was it like playing for Coach Miller? It was great. I loved playing for him, just the passion he has for the game, the love he has for the game, and just the standard he held our team at. It was great. It was great overall, and I feel like I grew a lot underneath him. We're a week away from draft night now. Have you allowed yourself to think about what it's going to feel like that moment when you hear your name called? Not really. Not until I get done with these workouts. Just focus on that right now. But, yeah, I can start the feeling starting to creep up a little bit. It's getting closer and closer.
All right. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
Sound like a good interview, Sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I assume that we'll probably be seeing him here probably pretty soon in Sacramento for his introductory press conference.
Yeah.
Do they do that with second round picks still?
Yeah, everybody will be here to get. I mean, usually the first round of the two second rounders if they had them. Our own Nick Cattles, who we know is a Boston Celtics fan as well. He tweeted earlier, Jay Bilas called Colby Jones a Josh Hart type player. Sign me up, Celtics. Well. He was taken technically by Boston and Charlotte or whatever, but now he's a King. So we kind of referenced that Josh Hart part. The next kind of in line, I saw, speaking of our guys here, Carmichael Davis tweeted this not long ago, hearing increased chatter on a Sabonis extension, as we talked about this morning. Movement on Vezenkov will now start in earnest. On HB, more blurry hope was to try and bring him back somehow, but the two sides seem not on the same page right now. So that to me, HB has always been a price point thing.
Yeah.
And or do you feel like you've got a better choice? I think by opening up this money, Chris, I think that opens up the chance of a better choice.
Yeah, I think that's the tough thing with upgrading from Harrison Barnes is unless you were going to go after Chris Middleton, it was really tough to find a clear upgrade. Yeah, it's just a really small pool. And now, if you really were on the fence about a guy like Kyle Kuzma, but weren't sure if you were going to be able to pay for him, now you have the funds to be able to go out and get that guy. It's just a matter of, again, if Monty McNair identifies someone specifically as a clear Harrison Barnes replacement, he now has the capabilities to go out and get that guy and not necessarily feel like he's hampering everything down in terms of, the cap space available and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how this all affects the Harrison Barnes negotiations. Is now the Kings are kind of just a lot more available to make a ton of different other choices with how they decide to build out this roster the rest of this offseason.
The latest pick that just went was 40th. I'm bringing that up because that was the Lakers, who took Maxwell Lewis. So here's something interesting. He's the Pepperdine guy.
He is.
They actually had Doug Christie, who was Pepperdine guy.
Yep.
They have Max Christie,
Oh
Maxwell
my God.
Lewis. Like, what is happening here?
Oh my God, we're living in the twilight zone. And this is just a real shame where I really like what the Lakers have done today. And I don't
say
like
it out
to
loud.
say
You
it.
said
I
that on the
really-
radio,
I know. I really hate that I had to say that out loud. But
Send
I
your
like what the
letters.
Lakers did. How about this?
do you have
Hornets
something?
at 41. This is more for you. Amari Bailey going at 41 to the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay.
UCLA guy.
Yeah.
Was a bigger guard and had didn't really show out until later in the season once Jalen Clark got hurt. But I think is a very interesting prospect and somebody who I think could be a really valuable pick at 41.
I watched a lot of UCLA games. That's the one team I really follow in college basketball, and he was their top recruit. And I saw a couple games in December. I went, this is the guy. But then, as you said, as the year went on, I'm like, he's a dude.
Yeah.
It just he didn't jump off because I don't even know if I knew who he was the first couple. I'm like, which one's Bailey?
Yeah.
Like he didn't jump off the screen, and then you're like, all right, I see it.
By the end of the year,
He was better.
it seemed like he had a real confidence in
Yeah,
himself
I'd
too.
agree
That
with
just
that.
like he carried himself like a pro once he got that confidence. And to me, there was really no question, especially once he got that starting spot later in the season that he was going to be a pro. I think that's a really good pick for Charlotte at number 40. 41.
Are we
especially
100%
after,
sure it's a Charlotte pick? We're certain that no.
Well, I'm
who
not
knows?
certain on anything anymore, but Shams did.
I think he's going to the Steelers.
Yeah,
Let's just say that the Cubs. I don't even know.
It could be anyone at this point. But at the moment, as things currently stand, as of a minute ago, Amari Bailey is a Charlotte Hornet, and will presumably, I guess, be backing up LaMelo Ball after they don't go with Scoot Henderson at number 2.
Yes. The Kings are scheduled to pick at 54, so they're still a little bit away from that. But again, to recap the day, top spot is Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson go 1, 2, 3. A lot of movement, trades, subtle moves, but the Kings, I think, here locally make a big one after drafting at 24, moving their draft choice of OMP and Richaun Holmes to Dallas for cap space. Kings in the second round move that 38 pick, move up a bit, get Colby Jones. That's the only known player now coming to Sacramento. Now, again, that part, like first round picks cost more money. The Kings aren't doing this on the cheap.
Right.
Second round is less. They literally need bodies to sign, but they got a ton of cap space now on the Richaun Holmes move. And I would think over the next week, and then certainly when free agency starts Friday, they're prime players in this.
Yep, the Kings are going to be one of the most active teams at the once free agency kicks off, and we've already seen them be incredibly active in trade talks right now. I think that'll just ramp up even more as we inch closer and closer to July 1st. It's a really exciting time for the Kings right now to have all this money available, to have all of those roster spots available. There's really an opportunity for them to do some damage. And I think a lot of Kings fans had the fear, oh my gosh, I'm officially out on Amari Bailey now, by the way.
Was it the no shirt or the beads?
It's the no
The combo?
shirt underneath the suit in front of what I assume is like 15,000 people. The man decided to show up to the Barclays Center without a shirt on. So I'm out on Amari Bailey.
Okay.
But after,
that's where you draw the line.
Yeah, it's just not a good
If
decision
Amani
maker.
Bates did that, you'd be fine.
I don't think so. Oh,
Okay.
you missed it. I hopped off the Amani
you're
Amani
done.
Bates hype train. I did. Yeah.
What if he goes to 54?
I
want
that's
Oscar.
fine.
I want Oscar Sheboy or Jalen Clark.
I'm right there with you. I think I really, really want Jalen Clark. I've warmed up to him a lot in the past couple days. He's been my biggest riser from the past few days. leading into this draft. If they get Oscar Tshiebwe, who's National Player of the Year 2 years ago, fantastic rebounder, just an absolute dog, but is only 6'7", and to me, that's the reason why he's fallen down draft boards. I would really like either him or Jalen Clark at 54. I'm okay with Imani Bates. I no longer believe that there's really star potential, underlying
Too
star
many people
potential
are
there.
saying that.
Yeah, I think that when you look at him, I mean, he's 6'9" with a 6'7" wingspan. That's not good. You look at his style of play, not really an explosive athlete at all. He really just relies on hitting really tough shots, and he's okay at it, but at a pro level, that's not where you want to make your money, is making tough shots.
Yeah. Well, the 42nd pick is coming up. We're going to hang tight here, try to get you to that 54th pick as our draft coverage continues. It's all brought to you by Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. We got a little more show to go when we come back right after this on Sactown Sports.
Need your Niners fix? Sactown Sports has you covered.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think Trey looks significantly better than he did last year. I really do. I think his confidence is there. I think that he's throwing really good passes. I mean, just watching him, he just looks so much more comfortable and confident in the pocket, and I really appreciate that from him, from all the work that he's put into it. He just looks like he's having fun, because when he's out there having a good time, it definitely brings up everyone around him.
Get all your 49ers coverage leading into the 2023 season at Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
Shop the best deals of the summer now at Lowe's. Freshen up your home inside and out with buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Plus, save big on select patio furniture and accessories with up to 50% off. Lowe's knows July 4th savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 6/28. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowes.com/rebates for details.
Diabetes and high blood pressure are leading causes of kidney disease, which can result in kidney failure. You have the power to check out how well your kidneys are doing. Visit linkedbylovetv.org to learn more. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
He might not have a badge, but we have faith in his killer instinct. Celebrate the 10th anniversary of famed detective priest, Father Brown. Stream the new season now, only on BritBox.
That sounds like a marvelous plan.
Plus, watch even more unofficial detectives in much-loved series, including Agatha Christie's Marple, Murder in Provence, and more. Expect intriguing mystery. Expect the Undetectives. Start streaming today at BritBox.com.
Hey guys, did you know June is Men's Health Month? Prioritize your health and address those issues you've been ignoring. Revive Men's Health Sacramento has guaranteed low T and ED solutions. Book your free exam and T-check today and save $199. And find out how you can get a free 1-month supply of custom ED medication. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit revivemenshealth.com today.
Thunder, feel the thunder.
It ignites something inside of you.
Lightning and the thunder.
It's Thunder Valley's $20,000 20th anniversary cash giveaway. 5 winners on Friday and Saturday nights in June. One very lucky guest wins $20,000 guaranteed. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Woodland. It's Ram season, Chad. What's going on at Hoblet?
We have some of the biggest savings of the year on new 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4s with over $11,000 off MSRP. Or if you're worried about interest rates going up, save $6,000 off MSRP plus get financing as low as 2.9% for 72 months. And remember, Hoblet is California's #1 Ram truck dealer and has the best selection and deals on HD Rams too.
Hey, that's some pretty great savings, but why drive all the way to Hoblet?
We have no surprise fees, add-ons, or or dealer markups, just savings. One of the many reasons we received the Walter P. Chrysler Award for outstanding customer service for 3 years in a row now. Plus, with Hoblett's Peace of Mind Guarantee, you can buy with confidence.
Stop by their Hoblet Ram Truck Center for a test drive today, or search, select, and save through the whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Best prices, best selection, period.
11,000 total net savings after 5091 factory rebates and 6,000 dealer discounts. 5091 factory rebates in lieu of 2.9% APR for 72 months on approved credit through Chrysler Capital. Must have 700 plus FICO score to qualify. 1516 per thousand borrowed. 5 at each net savings. Sample VIN 622619.
KHTKAM HD1 Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports.
Sacramento is trading center Richaun Holmes and the 24th pick to Dallas. This is the Mavericks picking now at 24.
With the 24th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Olivier Maxence Prosper from Montreal, Canada, the NBA Academy Latin America, and Marquette University.
Maxence. Olivier. They did have Tariq Abdul-Wahed, Olivier St. Jean. The Kings did draft him years ago from San Jose State. Tariq Abdul-Wahed, yeah.
Love that.
Changed his name from, either name was great. Olivier St. Jean, then he became Tariq Abdul-Wahed.
I like it.
And for moments, the draft hat of Olivier Maxence Prosper. He was a King. He was moved, along with Richaun Holmes, to the Dallas Mavericks. Jason Ross, Chris Watkins back here. We're going to extend our coverage here of the draft. This is how dedicated Chris is. You got a big game tonight.
It's not the biggest game of the year, but yeah, we do have a big softball game teeing off today.
Shortly. So we got you for a few more moments. We wanted to make it to the 54th pick. I'm not sure you will, but you'll do your best.
I doubt it,
but you're sticking around here. Your show was technically scheduled till 9, but we couldn't leave without getting to the last pick here. But interesting day to say the least.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, now in that break, I was looking at some other things that just more masses were saying, and you're going to get some criticism because I think people want a name attached to this. My overall blanket statement of this, Chris, is look, Monty is not perfect. He will make mistakes, but so far he's made more of the right moves, and I do trust him.
Yes, absolutely.
It's hard to trust something that you don't see. We're not at the finish line, and something else is coming. It's not one of those like, hey, you got to let it play out because there's potentially more moves. No, there has to be because of contract. Like they need to fill the roster, so more will come. Now we may not like it, but I'm going to trust that he's going to do well here.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way. Where Monty McNair at this point, and it was much before he was named Executive of the Year, but I just inherently trust his decisions. I think he's made enough right moves at this point that you can have faith that he understands and has a good finger on the pulse of what this team really needs. I mean, really, there's only a handful of moves in which you can look at from Monty McNair that didn't go well. And even then, those were just very smaller end moves. Pretty much, especially come draft time, it feels like Monty McNair more times than not is making the right move, with the exception of a few traded second-round picks. I mean, really, Monty McNair has been pretty solid at drafting guys, and I think that Colby Jones is just going to be another guy added to that list who's going to be a really solid pro that's going to help this Kings team win some ball games next season.
And so then with this money that's available, current free agents, yes, teams. I mentioned the fact that, let's see, Atlanta is in terrible cap position.
Yeah.
John Collins has been mentioned before. Can that be back? DeAndre Hunter. Other teams that are just trying to free up money or do something to give them the flexibility that now the Kings have, or a bunch of teams made trades at last February's deadline that also kind of hindered their future. Well, they're going to need someone to help them. The Kings aren't necessarily they don't have to help them, but get something from these teams. So I think it just puts the Kings in a spot that a lot of teams will be calling Monty McNair.
Yeah, I mean, Monty McNair said it all the time. Like, you want to have versatility in terms of just what you're able to do. A cap versatility, I think, is the term that he used, where you want to just have a ton of different options to be able to pivot to any way you want to go. And I mean, there's a lot of options out there for the Kings to go if they want to go big game hunting, but also, even if they just want to improve on the edges. I think there's tons of small names out there, and they now have the money to go get pretty much whoever they want, as they're one of the few good teams out there that actually have some cap space. And with a new and improved culture, maybe they can entice some winning players that traditionally typically wouldn't come to Sacramento in the past. And that's what I'm most excited for, is to just see how the Kings' new reputation does them in free agency. Obviously, the Kings and Sacramento haven't been a destination place for free agents to go. I wonder if money and a winning product will help change the perspective of how the Kings are viewed.
A couple other notes I've seen, we mentioned how much they could have, as much as $30 million. Others are suggesting if they kind of renounce everybody, it could be as much as $38 million.
Oof,
so, I mean, it just gives you some flexibility. And then remember, you can still sign your own guys after, if you go.
That 38 doesn't include the mid-level exception, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, I mean, it just makes them true players in this for a lot of different things. There's something else that was reported while we were on during the draft. We mentioned that Scoot Henderson went 3 to Portland. We already started the speculation on Dame Lillard. Shams had reported as well that Dame apparently said he wants to give the Blazers more time to build a contender and will take the next week to think about his future.
Interesting. I mean, that's going to be a very fluid situation, I think. I mean, we said it at the top of this show. I think the best thing is for Dame in that front office to come together and for Dame to give them a list of teams that he would be comfortable going for, and then Portland executing a trade to wherever Dame wishes to go. Because I think especially, I know the Chris Murray is a little bit more of a win now kind of prospect. He's a ready to play now kind of guy, but I think that the way that Portland roster is built out right now with so many young guys, and if you can trade Damian Lillard for some young pieces and maybe even some picks, I think to me that's the best possible route for the Blazers to build a possible contender for the next 10 to 15 years moving forward, instead of just going for a championship window in the next, hopefully for them in the next 2 to 3 years in Dame's championship window, or else it's just kind of unfortunately a wasted career for Damian Lillard, and that would be a shame. So I hope that he can figure it out, and I hope that he goes to a winning situation. And like I said, I hope that the Kings can now be involved in those as well. Again, even if it's not for the main piece, if they can just attach themselves as a third team and maybe just kind of suck up some good cap space or a player that is valued more to the Kings than elsewhere, that can be a huge addition for him.
He's come out and he's been very public about it, like ring culture, and doesn't think it should be the way it is. I agree with him, but I think that's such the minority. There's way too, I mean, people they won't belittle his career because it's going to be a terrific career. It's a Hall of Fame career, but it will be, but he never, I mean, it's going to happen to him. And right or wrong,
look at Charles Barkley.
It happened.
It gets
Barkley would be
up.
labeled higher if he had 2 rings. Malone would be maybe one of the best if he had a ring or 2.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. Even Chris Paul. Paul's somebody who's terrific player, but unfortunately, when you compare him with the other great point guards, it's tough to give Chris Paul the nod over guys like Isaiah Thomas, because Isaiah Thomas has the 2 rings. Like, Chris Paul might have been by eye test, and if you look at all the numbers, a better point guard if you believe it, but you can't give them the nod because of the ring. It's unfortunate, but Damian Lillard's the kind of guy who just needs that championship ring to really cement just how great of a player he was in this era, because right now, unfortunately, he's going to be underrated in terms of, just how you're going to view his career if it stands how it does right now. He's going to be a great scorer, a guy who led the Blazers at one point to a single conference championship appearance, but never anything further than that, never really a part of any sort of significant winning franchise. Blazers obviously had some fun years in there, but nothing really that was, anything special over there up there in Portland. So,
which is really interesting because for so many years, people gave Damian Lillard credit for sticking it out with Portland, that he was the loyal guy and he got bonus points for that.
It was admirable.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, it's flipped on a dime where it's like, why is he still there? Why aren't you
wasting his career?
Yeah, it's interesting how that changed so quickly as soon as Portland started well, really tanking for the
Yeah,
most part. They've
it's
had
true.
2 top 8 picks.
Yep.
46 pick just went. It's Atlanta taking Seth Lundy. So, Chris, that means the Kings are about, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 away. I know you got a bounce here.
I do.
Couple of wish. I mean, you kind of got your wish in the draft. And then
Jason,
they
my
didn't land
guy
as
is
Kings.
still out there. Trace Jackson Davis
Yeah.
is still on
Who
the board.
I thought they might pick at 24.
I thought they might take it 24. I'm really shocked to see him still up there on the draft board. If he's there at 54, I would be frankly shocked if the Kings pass on him if he's still there at 54. I would be very surprised if he's still there. He's number 1 on Jay Billis's best available list.
He was, by the way, on our guy Bob Gerald's hoopobsession.com. He was 14th.
14th. I mean, so
Where
that
he put him.
That's, I mean, and he's just when you look at him,
He's just undersized.
He's
I mean, to
undersized,
be a center, but
and
I think
that's
he's a center.
6'9", 6'10", maybe in shoes, but was a good rim protector, was a good rebounder, was a good
Doesn't shoot
multiple
threes.
level
That's like
scorer,
the knock.
couldn't shoot threes. But if you look at his passing ability, to me, that's the thing that makes me believe that he can truly be somebody who outperforms his second round pick. Like the guys who have that kind of vision, to me, it's not even about the passing ability. It's just that tells me that you see the game and you understand the chessboard that can be moved, especially as a big man. If you average 4 assists per game in college, like Trace Jackson Davis, that tells me that you understand what defenses are doing. And you might even have that thing that, I don't want to put the Jokic or LeBron label on this guy who's going to be a late second round pick. But that just tells me that you have a certain feel for the game and a certain level of understanding of where players need to be out on the floor that just is really tough to come by, especially when you're talking about centers. And for a Kings team that already runs their offense majorly through Domantas Sabonis at the center position, to me, Trace Jackson Davis is a guy that can come off the bench and you don't have to change what you do. I mean, that was the big thing with our now departed friend, Richaun Holmes, was it just, you would put Richaun in and you would almost have to completely run a different offense. And with a guy like Trace Jackson Davis, I just think he would be a ready-made plug-and-play guy where Sabonis comes out, you put him in, and you can still run the offense to a certain extent through him from hopefully from day one.
What about Carmichael Dave's clone, Drew Timme? I haven't seen him. I mean, he might be a late second rounder or a free agent.
I love Drew Timme, the college player. I just don't know if the pro game is there. I mean, he probably would have been a first round pick, maybe even a lottery pick in like the 1980s or maybe even in the mid 90s. But that game is just doesn't exist anymore. He's Kevin Love, but can't shoot. I after a guy who you were familiar with, TJ Leaf out of UCLA in that Lonzo year, after he didn't pan out, I was like, I don't know. I don't think any of these like low post forward guys who aren't very athletic, I just don't think it's going to work out for our guy, Drew Timme, but fantastic college career. And I'm sure he's the kind of guy who's going to kill it in summer league and probably, be a G League MVP or something, but really like, what do they call him in baseball? A 4A player.
Right.
That feels like
right
what Drew Timme is. Yeah. Right on the fringe.
Interesting. I thought Drew Timme still had 6 years of eligibility left at
probably
Gonzaga.
does.
Yeah.
He'll get picked tonight and then we'll see him in the tournament next year. Like, wait, how did that work?
He's a Peyton Siva all-star is what I like to call him. Just a guy who's been in college basketball for like 8 years. And it's
Also, TJ Leaf, San Diego's own.
Is that
right? He really?
I saw him play in high school. He was a couple years older than me at La Jolla Country Day.
Okay.
There was another Peyton Siva. Perry Ellis.
Well, he looked like he was 40 at Kansas.
Yeah. A lot of those guys who have just like, you feel like they're in college basketball forever.
For sure. Well, Chris, this was fun. I'll get you to 54. I know you got to get out of here, and we will see you tomorrow as well.
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. This has been really fun. Kyle, appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a good night. Good night for the Sacramento Kings. I know might have been a little bit underwhelming in terms of we only have one name to really celebrate.
But
one more coming up. But I think overall, as I'm leaving here right now, so if something bad happens, it's not my fault. As of this moment right now, it feels like a really successful night for the Sacramento Kings.
All right, pick number 48 is coming up. We'll have the Kings pick coming up here shortly. They'll be picking 4. Back for a final segment of our draft coverage. That is straight ahead here on Sactown Sports.
The King season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
Guys on other teams, when they look at the Sacramento Kings, they feel that this is a fun brand of basketball to play.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Get to Acura of Stockton, where precision-crafted performance is at your fingertips. Elevate your driving experience with a vehicle that's built to impress. Acura of Stockton has a great selection of new Acuras and customer service that will exceed your expectations. And right now, lease a new Acura TLX, MDX, or Integra with low lease rates available. Take luxury to a whole new level in a new Acura from Acura of Stockton. See all our inventory and specials at AcuraofStockton.com.
Hey, you want to be around people having a great time? You need to come check out Capital Casino, offering the most varieties of table games in the region in the friendliest environment. Come for the food, which is awesome, of course, and stay and play. Conveniently located in downtown Sacramento at 411 North 16th Street. Right there in downtown Sacramento for over 20 years. Cap Casino, best food, best games, and of course, the best action. And please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, Scott, you look great.
Yeah, I'm feeling good and have a new job.
No, there's something different about the way you look.
To be honest, a few months ago, I had an amazing robotic hair transplant procedure at XL Medicine. It's called the artist procedure.
No way. Your hair looks completely natural, and you don't even have a scar. How did they do that?
Dude, the artist system is amazing. I have this fantastic hairline, and I'm happy with my results. XL Medicine could probably help you too, buddy.
Using the artist procedure, Dr. Singh and Dr. Graywall can target and harvest healthy hair follicles with micron-level accuracy from the back of your head and transplant them where you need it. The procedure is painless, and you'll be back doing your regular activities in a couple of days. Ask Dr. Singh and Dr. Graywall at XL Medicine about the artist procedure. Call today, 916-932-4470. That's 932-4470 for a complimentary in-person or Zoom consultation, or on the web at xlmedicine.com. That's EXCEL medicine.com. See what the artist procedure can do for you.
These are actors and not real patients.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find. Happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too. Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda.
The Gold Rush Classic takes place July 13th and 14th in Rancho Murrieta. Come join the fun and play golf with a celebrity, or just check out the concert. The Gold Rush Classic, where the stars and guitars shine. For more info, go to goldrushclassic.org.
Sacramento is trading center Richaun Holmes and the 24th pick to Dallas. This is the Mavericks picking now at 24.
With the 24th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Olivier Maxence Prosper from Montreal, Canada, the NBA Academy Latin America, and Marquette University.
That just rolled off his tongue, didn't it? Maxwell?
You know, Adam Silver had a couple of those moments tonight. When Asur Thompson was picking, he mispronounced Pistons.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, that was kind of a funny moment. Here, let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, he had it in the...
Yeah, Silver's got a couple of those interesting mishaps tonight here.
With the 5th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Asar Thompson from Oakland, California, and overtime elite.
He stumbled on a name for the Warriors. He had a couple of those funny moments.
The Kings are closing in. Our thanks again to Chris Watkins. He did a lot of work today up through this 9:15 here. Had to roll out a game coming up here in moments. Kyle, thank you for hanging out. Jason Ross here with you. Those of you on YouTube, we really do appreciate you. All of you checking us out. Hit that thumbs up button if you don't mind while you're here. We're just waiting until pick 54. Want to give you some more intel from people that, do this stuff on a regular basis. Kevin O'Connor, he's associated with The Ringer, does some great NBA coverage. This is his tweet 12 minutes ago. My favorite second-round picks. He's got a list of 5. And the top of his list, Colby Jones to the Sacramento Kings. Recently, just 4 minutes ago, Trace Jackson Davis was not selected, but he tweeted, "Y'all will regret it. I promise you." I love that. I love when an athlete's got a little chip.
He's ready to come at him. Also, we have another news coming in from Shams Charania.
Okay.
With pick 49, the Cleveland Cavaliers are selecting Imani Bates.
There he is. So Chris is on his way to his game. You don't even have to worry, Chris. You didn't have to speak it into his existence. You got off the bandwagon, but Cleveland's a believer. That pick, believe it or not, listen to this, was from Golden State, but it was via Utah and New Orleans. That pick has moved around as a second-round pick, but Cleveland takes Imani Bates. So it's OKC, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Minnesota, and then the Sacramento Kings with their final pick coming up here in just a few minutes. So we're going to stick around until we get that pick. Do want to remind everybody all day tomorrow, just extended coverage. I'll be back in the morning with Carmichael Dave. We've got the midday show with Watkins and Whitey. And then tomorrow afternoon is it Jay? And
it's going to be Rami, Jay, myself, and Simone.
Nice. So that whole crew is back as well. So my goodness, it is a busy time. So 12 consecutive hours of draft breakdown, Kings thoughts, and obviously speculation, because what the Kings have done, if you're just joining us now and haven't heard or still trying to wrap your head around it, because when it happened in real time, you hear the Kings drafting Olivier Maxon Prosper, and you're thinking, okay, that's a forward, makes some sense, but wait. Then Chris right after said, no, there's news. They're trading him along with Richaun Holmes to Dallas. And you're thinking, okay, what's coming back? Well, nothing. Cap space. And so the Kings did this to free up money. They have now the second most amount of money available in free agency. Only Houston has more. Obviously, the Kings are a better team, better destination. You would think now that Houston still could be a big player, and there's a lot of rumors about them going after James Harden. But the Kings have availability here to go big fishing in the free agency department, hit on a couple of different types of players, go for a big name, but also get involved in the trade market and could really be a third team, go directly for a name like Bradley Beal, like Chris Paul. These guys that were just traded, the Kings, Kyle, have the money to take on big contracts.
Absolutely. And we talked about the mid-level exception earlier. That isn't factored into the cap space there. So potentially you're looking at over $45 million to spend on filling out the rest of this roster. And granted, the Kings have a lot of players to sign. They have the second fewest guaranteed contracts of any team in the NBA right now. We calculated earlier, they're sitting at 6 players on the roster. Now, granted, Kessler Edwards is going to have his team option accepted, and PJ Dozier is under contract, but his contract isn't guaranteed. So they have to fill out a lot of roster spots, but they also have more flexibility than any playoff team this year to make that happen.
Yeah, and the thing that I hope, whether it's Frankie, the people that cover the Kings that are going to be out there, the media, I hope, Kyle, that they ask the question, and I don't know, I mean, Monty's going to be honest, but you can be honest without answering the question. I don't know the answer to this if Chris Murray was the target. I don't know, but he went right before the Kings, and if he was, that's a quick pivot, or at least having plan B ready to go. I don't know how forthcoming he'll be on that, but that's a really fascinating subplot to me.
I think the Chris Murray part is incredibly interesting, and not just because every fan was interested. There were people from KNCI and Now
People
100
knew that story.
They were coming in and asking, are we going to take Chris Murray? When are we going to take Chris Murray? So, obviously he was the name everyone knew, but beyond that point, from a basketball standpoint, I mean, he was a guy the Sacramento Kings were interested in, and like you said, was picked one pick before Sacramento. And the other part of it is Dallas didn't have this cap space until about 40 minutes before the Kings made that pick. So obviously this deal had to come together quickly. For those who are maybe tuning in, Dallas traded down from pick 10 to pick 12 to get rid of Davis Bertans' contract.
With OKC, correct?
With Oklahoma City, yes. And that was about $17.5 million on Bertans' contract that they opened up. They had as a trade exception, and then the Kings just took Richaun Holmes' $13 million and slid it into that trade exception. So that deal had to come together pretty quickly, given they didn't know Dallas had the cap space.
I got to believe at the trade deadline, when everyone's like, why did the Kings make a move? I'm sure they were looking at stuff for Richaun Holmes, and now that half a year finished, it's different when 2 years are left on a contract or 1 year left on a contract, a little easier to move. They were able to move him now. Served as a great role for the Kings, and I think that's a guy that when he comes back will get one of those classic once a King, always a King receptions, because, I mean, Richaun Holmes had really That's like a classic Sacramento Kings success story.
My first Kings game that I ever went to, it was, I think, the last home game that was played prior to the league shutting down in 2020.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it was against the Pistons, and Richaun Holmes got a block, and there were MVP chants coming from the crowd for Richaun Holmes.
Oh, he had some big nights. He had some big 20-20 nights or 20 double nights. I mean, he put in some big numbers, but just kind of when you get Sabonis, wasn't the rim protector that maybe they wanted. Started shooting some threes. I still think that's something he's capable of doing, but just wasn't quite the right fit, and they tried to do right by him. I think he'll be good in Dallas. By the way, OKC was picking at 50. They just took Keontae Johnson, so we're getting closer to that last pick for the Sacramento Kings, which will be at 54, and Jalen Wilson went to the Nets at 51. So the Kings are 3 away from making what is scheduled to be their final pick of this draft. So it's been an interesting night, Kyle, to say the least. Anything jump out to you the most of, I guess, now 51 picks?
Out of the 51.
Even the top, like at the beginning. I mean, did Brandon Miller surprise you? Because I truly hope, I mean, I'm not rooting against any of these teams. I really hope they got that right for their sake, because if they didn't do that because they got LaMelo Ball, I think that's the wrong thought process.
Yeah, I think at that point I'd kind of been resigned to the fact that Brandon Miller was going to be the pick by Charlotte, because my thinking the whole time is you get the guys in the door and you figure it out later. Sacramento's a great example of that. They got Fox, they got Halliburton, they tried it for a couple years, and then they made the call to move there. So if Charlotte's issue is, well, we think Scoot's a better player, but the fit with LaMelo, that wouldn't have been the right call by them. But if they believe in Brandon Miller, I can't knock them for it. The thing that I thought was most interesting is 4 of the top 5 picks did not go to college basketball.
That is interesting.
And this is less of an anomaly than it is a trend, it feels like. I think there's...
And it's not all European. It's the G League. It's the overtime. I mean, like, it's guys playing professionally, but just not in college.
And if we extend it out further, Bilal Coulibaly was picked 7 by what was originally Indiana and traded to Washington. But I mean, obviously, he was Victor Wembanyama's teammate in for Metropolitans '92 in France, and everything that we've seen is that there are different options for players beyond just the international guys. Obviously, 2 overtime elite players in the Thompson twins. I think 3 or 4 overtime elite players got picked in the first round this year. G League Ignite's been a thing for years. Obviously, last year or 2 years ago was when Jalen Green was picked number 2 after going to the G League Ignite. So I thought that was interesting in terms of right at the top of the draft, you got 5 of the top 7 picks and 4 of the top 5 being guys who didn't play college basketball.
Yeah, and then the other part of this to remember, I mean, the Kings are going to be picking here in just a few picks, but it only goes to 58. There's still work right after the draft ends, and there's free agents that can be signed. Also, the Kings have some money to, sign some of these guys even on a non-guarantee, that type of thing, and bring guys into the California Classic or certainly to Vegas for the Summer League. So there's been careers that have been made. We've seen all-stars come out of an undrafted. It's rare, but it can happen. We know second-round success, and obviously we just witnessed the greatest one ever, I think, in Nikola Jokic that, was he 41?
Pick 41.
41. So 40 teams passed on him. He goes 41 and has become one of the great big men we've ever seen. I mean, it's just unbelievable, whether it's Draymond in the second round, Jimmy Butler at 30, Brad Miller becoming an all-star as a second round. You've had undrafted guys. It can be done. And so you wait, you see, and you kind of process this whole thing. So the Nets, as we said, are picking now or we already got their 51st. Yeah. So Jalen Wilson is who their pick is. The Kings are coming up here in their next few with decisions to be made.
And in some of these cases, it doesn't even have to be, Jokic becomes an MVP or something like that. It doesn't have to be years from now. I looked up the 2021 draft class real quick, and Herb Jones for the Pelicans was a second-round pick 2 years ago and immediately became a star. Obviously, a couple years ago, Malcolm Brogdon was a second-round pick who won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And
hey, right here, Kyle Kings, 60, Isaiah Thomas. I mean, he had good years in Sacramento, was a 4th in the MVP with Boston. Like, that was the last pick of the draft, and he became an incredible player, and unfortunately injuries derailed that. But you can find guys, and you can also still find them after this.
And it's especially true for the Kings right now because there are so many roster spots available, and guys who were two-way players last year, like Neemias Queta, he might get one of these roster spots coming into next year. We know Dellavedova's already gone back to Australia. It doesn't look like Alex Len's coming back. There's a lot of roster spots to be filled for the Kings. And like you said, the California Classic roster is going to get built out pretty quickly here because that starts in 9-10 days.
Yeah. Free agency's next Friday. The week after is the California Classic, the 3rd and the 5th. Got a couple on our YouTube asking, hey, guys, what do you think of, I guess Windhorse is suggesting that Draymond Green could be in play for the Kings. Of course he could. I mean, because you now become, we mentioned Houston has the most money, then it's Sacramento, then it's a canyon, it's a gap. There's a few teams that have money, but those teams can't sign Draymond Green. The Warriors can, and I believe that's the favorite, but it's Houston and it's Sacramento. If the Kings are interested, they could put an offer. Not sure they're going to get him, but he's in play. He is definitely in play.
It's so unique because obviously teams can do what Sacramento did. They can dump a contract, attach a future draft pick. Nobody else has really done that tonight. They were saying there was going to be all this movement and players were going to be switching because people were preparing for weaker draft classes. And obviously we had the Bradley Beal trade, Chris Paul trades, Porzingis got traded, obviously. But on draft night, there hasn't really been all that many trades when it seemed like there could be a ton of possibilities.
Yeah.
So those teams haven't opened up a lot of cap space. And I made the joke on Twitter that the perfect offseason for the Kings at this point would be sign Draymond Green and then trade for Jordan Poole. That would be exactly what the Kings
you just wanted trouble on there, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I just want to see the anarchy of put those two together on Sacramento, and we're going to our newfound rivalry with the Warriors, we're going to bring the disregarded, disgruntled Warriors and come back and beat them, or it'll all blow up in our faces.
Well, Phoenix, Kyle, is just taken at 52. It looks like, according to Shams, they are taking Toumani Camara or he's the 52nd pick. So that means Minnesota right now at 53, and then as scheduled, the Sacramento Kings are 54. So we're a few minutes away from the Kings selection. And again, Trace Jackson Davis is still on the board. We said it earlier when Chris Watkins was here. Our guy Bob Gerald from hoopobsession.com has Trace Jackson Davis rated 14th on his board. Now, everybody does this differently. Everybody has different preferences. That's why you get, different opinions on these guys. Me personally, I would be interested in Oscar Tshiebwe from Kentucky. He's a bit undersized, just a savage rebounder. I will say this with full bias. Jalen Clark at UCLA was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year before he tore his knee. I think he's undervalued. We're talking 54th pick. So you're trying to get someone that could be on your roster or developed into something later. So those are names I'm looking at, but we'll see.
We'll see what ends up happening. I don't have as much of an in-depth draft analysis as you guys. As someone who doesn't have to do 4 hours of talking on the radio a day, I didn't dive deep into the 50s and 60s of the draft picks. But
we're deep now.
Obviously, Oscar Tshiebwe was, I believe, College Player of the Year a couple years ago.
2 years. I mean, just an incredible rebounder. And usually, to me, jump shooting and rebounding transfer. Like, if you can shoot, you'll probably shoot in the NBA. If you can rebound, you've got a spot. Now, yeah, he's undersized. I mean, Looney's a good example. I saw him play all the time at UCLA, and I went, I don't know. I don't really look at him as this screaming pro player, but you get in the right spot, you get in the right system, and he's great for the Warriors.
Another classic example of that, and someone who was picked, I believe, with pick 59 in the draft is Paul Reed for the 76ers. He's
done a nice job.
He was Embiid's backup in the playoffs this year when Embiid had the knee injury in the first round. He filled in as a starter, and it didn't blow him out the building, but similarly to Looney, is just a guy who fits a role, develops for a couple years, and then you look up and you don't have to sign the DeAndre Jordan to a minimum contract or the Dwight Howard to a minimum contract because you've got a guy like Paul Reed.
Yeah, our guy Russell saying right now you draft the best available at this point. I think you draft the best available anyway, or whatever's on your board, whatever you think that is. I mean, I really think it's that simple. I don't think you overthink it. I think you literally write out, if you're the Kings and you think you're staying at 54, your top 54 prospects, and if is 37th on your board right now, you take that player. I mean, I don't think you have to overthink it.
And Chris Watkins was saying earlier that Trace Jackson Davis was a guy that they were talking about at 24. And this wasn't just like, who could the Kings take? No, the Sacramento Kings were having this conversation. So we know they're interested in him. Also, your guy Jalen Clark was just selected at pick 53.
Ah, really?
Yep. He was selected by Minnesota with pick 53, so it looks like that's off the table. But Sacramento is now officially on the clock, and Trace Jackson Davis made it.
He's still there. Okay, so Jalen Clark is gone. By the way, I think Shams is also reporting that Phoenix pick, which was Tumani Kamara, is going part of that Bradley Beal trade.
Yeah,
which basically anything Phoenix is doing is going to Washington.
That's what I thought when I saw Phoenix on the board. I'm like, that pick is either going to Washington or Brooklyn or whatever. They don't have any draft picks. And by the way, the former owner of the team and current president have basically come out and said, hey, we don't believe in prospect scouting. They're the only team in the league that doesn't have a G League team. The Phoenix Suns do not believe in draft and scouting, so they're just going to save that money and do whatever.
Well, who is going to join Colby Jones as new members of the Sacramento Kings? The Kings got Colby Jones in the second round. That's their only player attached to them tonight. We are awaiting on the 54th pick. It should be up momentarily. Of course, they're in a commercial. They are in a commercial on television. We might get the sneak peek. I'll see if we can do this the legitimate way with Mark Tatum. We'll see. Even if you and I find out, maybe we'll hang tight to no spoilers here, because it's a spoiler night. That's the way this draft works. But the Kings are on the clock. According to ESPN, what they need is a shot blocker and a starting power forward. Well, I don't know that you're drafting that at 54, but number one on Jay Billis's board is Trace Jackson Davis.
Number 2 is Adam Sinogo from the national champion Connecticut Huskies.
Yeah. You got other names. Ricky Council, I've seen, has been listed, kind of targeted around the Kings at this pick. So,
we're going to get drafted during a Subway commercial.
Subway, is this a sign? We will go read it as soon as it's put on TV, because I haven't seen it come from Shams yet either. The Kings are selecting Jalen Slauson, a forward from Furman. I've seen his name linked to the Kings as well. So Jalen Slauson goes to the Sacramento Kings. We're going to get our information that we can from you. For you here on Jalen Slauson, the newest member of the Sacramento Kings, pending any trade, because this stuff has been happening pretty fast and furiously here. But that looks like the newest member of your Sacramento Kings. We'll give you some details and some numbers on Jalen Slauson. But Furman, not a power program, certainly, but doesn't mean the forward position I know is of intrigue for the Sacramento Kings and probably an area of need for sure. Let me look up some of his numbers for you, because that is a guy, we are talking deep into the draft. And there we go, from Furman. And I didn't have a lot of information on him. I got to be honest. I hadn't seen him play a lot of basketball, but he is the newest member of your Sacramento Kings.
All right.
Yeah.
That is an interesting choice, because they had a couple names that we recognize, guys they were interested in before, and they went a little bit off the board here with Jalen Slauson.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it definitely is off the board. But when you're in the second round, when you're trying to find out what fits best for you, you just kind of go for it. And hey, we've done the I trust in Monty type thing before. I think it's still the right way to do this. It is interesting that Trace Jackson Davis is still on the board, but Kings had multiple looks at him and obviously elected that wasn't the right choice for him. So we will see what Jalen Slauson can do for this team. I was trying to find his information in the draft guide. Honestly, I've been searching here this whole time. I don't even know that they have it listed. So let's see if we can check in with ESPN really quickly. I know they're talking about the last 2 picks here.
Available for summer league, but he is a high-level defender.
He was selected 53rd overall, with Jalen Slauson being selected 54th. We're going to head to one more break. We'll see you on the other side with the 55th pick.
Okay, so there you go. We didn't even get much information on Jalen Slauson.
They took Jalen Slauson. That was our information.
That's what we know. So we will have more. We will be able to hear from Monty. We will have more reaction to this certainly tomorrow on all our shows, and get what we can about Jalen Slauson. But there's obviously a thought process behind this, reasoning behind what Monty wanted to do there. But let's see. Sham says one more report here. Nope, that one's not a trade, because at this point you just never know. Kyle, it feels like guys could be on the move. And let me give you some numbers from Jalen Slauson in his time at Furman. Let's see here. So played for the Furman Paladins. He is 6'7", 215 pounds senior. So again, another experienced player, averaged 15 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, shot 55% from the field. His last 2 years was at 14.5 and then 15.6 per game. So he's improved that, shot the ball well, shoots a 3 okay as well. Remember, Furman was a team that did make the NCAA tournament. I remember there. And they lost to San Diego State, a team that ultimately made it to the championship game.
SDS.
That's right.
I grew up 5 minutes away from that campus.
In the opening round, they stunned 4-seed Virginia. He went for a double-double of 19 and 10. In the game against San Diego State, he was held to 8 points and 2 rebounds. So, not a lot of players in the NBA are coming from Furman, but it's a second-round pick. 6'7" forward, kind of feels like that one was combo of a player they liked and a possible position of need.
Jalen Slauson is also the player in the viral clip who couldn't believe that Virginia turned the ball over after that March Madness game.
When I saw his face, I recognized the face, but I couldn't remember exactly where I had recognized.
He wasn't the one who made the shot, I don't believe.
But I think it was couldn't believe the actual turnover.
Yeah, the viral clip afterwards where he's in the locker room. He's like, I can't believe they threw it away. I can't believe they threw it away. That's Jalen Slauson.
Let me get one more here. Our guy, Bob Gerald, Hoop Obsession, had him 37th. In our opinion, the most overlooked player in the draft is Jalen Slauson. He is a versatile forward that plays defense well and is improving as a wing shooter. Perhaps folks are dwelling on his seemingly below-average running and jumping ability. 33-inch max vert. Slauson averaged 15 points. We mentioned the 7 boards, 3.5 assists per game. He shot 39% from 3, 78% from free throw. His assist-to-turnover ratio was 1.23 to 1. He led the SoCon in box score plus-minus, effective field goal percentage, and true shooting percentage. His defensive rating was 5.2 better than his Furman team. He has a 6'11" wingspan. In the 2021-22 season, he was the SoCon Defensive Player of the Year. Right-handed, we doubt Slauson will be drafted. In our opinion, though, he will be proved to be the worst decision of the 2023 draft if it happens, if he isn't drafted. Slauson is a player. He has a positional size. He shoots it. He defends. He shares. We view him as a potential top-tier small forward in the NBA.
Interesting, because he has him graded as he said 37, which is clearly a top of the second round guy. Yeah. And the Sacramento Kings made the move. I wonder how Mike Brown is going to have kind of his say on that pick and how his development is going to be, because a lot of what you're talking about is like a wing defender, right. Seems like an elite shooter at the mid-major level. And obviously this was one of the best mid-major teams, defended above average compared to his college teammates. I wonder how Mike Brown, had a say in that draft pick and bringing him in potentially as, maybe he'll make the final roster. Maybe he'll be a G League guy, but it's just interesting to think about how Mike Brown, who's preaching defense all the time, might be having a say in that pick.
Yeah. So you get guys in the draft, whether it's Colby Jones or Jalen Slauson, that can help some depth on the perimeter and the wing. And free agency money is here. Got to believe there's some targets in the front court, maybe even more backcourt help. So an exciting time. The draft is about wrapped up. I know we're done for the night. We do thank everyone that was a part of this tonight. Certainly my partner, Chris Watkins. Kyle, thank you for all your work, Kyle Ledbetter. I'll be back tomorrow morning with Carmichael Dave at 6. We'll have much more reaction to this and all the other moves, and who knows what else might happen between now and then. But thank you so much for listening to our NBA draft coverage tonight, brought to you by Power Business Technology. For all your business office equipment needs, contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. We got CBS Sports Radio coming your way next. Again, Dave and I are back at 6 a.m. right here on Sactown Sports. See ya.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
Expectations coming into the season and how we performed. I mean, it's one of the more special seasons that I've had in my 11 years.
Stay tuned all off-season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
For a business to thrive, there needs to be a constant stream of new customers. This happens through strong lead generation. Did you know that lead generation is one of the most important tools of any marketing campaign? Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products and services to them. To get started today,